They also provide some sort of security. And I think the word security is captured in their name for the aged. Because of, and the fact that SSNIT, every month, imagine, all of us, all the working force in Ghana, everybody contributes about, SSNIT is about, you said 11 or 13 point, 70% of our money goes into SSNIT. Now, what that for me does is that then it puts a huge burden on the president. It puts a huge burden on the president when issues concerning SSNIT come up or are in the fore. For me, I know I want to just limit myself to what this represents or stand for the kind of leadership we've been given by the president, taking into consideration the comments he made when this issue came up. Because when this issue came up, an issue that really exposes the president as having failed to deliver on every single aspect of the oath he took. Yes, because what this issue can lead us to is one, a situation where the 37.6 I'm talking about cannot be fulfilled. You understand? But beyond that, where the president is sitting down aloof and allowing his cabinet minister to breach the public trust that the people of this country have in him. The trust that really is holding together our constitutional democracy. Because we are a republic. Because when you read the oath of governance or the presidential oath, it keeps on mentioning the Republic of Ghana. So because it's a republic, then what it essentially means is that the re being the sovereign, the public being the people. You need their confidence, you need their trust for this system of governance to work. Because we give our powers to the politician, to the president, who then gives it to his ministers. So that if any act is done that can potentially undermine that trust, then the president is putting the whole country in a situation where this constitution, this republic, will be undermined, will be in danger. Because if the people lose faith in the ability of political leadership, in the ability of political leadership, not only to grant on its promises of leadership, but where we believe that they are using the powers that we give them essentially to enrich themselves, then it breaks that trust. And once that trust is broken, what it does is that it then creates some form of threat to the republic and to the constitution. Because, honestly speaking, I cannot believe that Brian Champon, a cabinet minister, will even put himself in this situation in the first place. And having put yourself in this situation, you let's say you do not have regard to the public trust that is created in you as a cabinet minister, but having then, or your attention having been drawn by the reaction of the people of Ghana to be making the sort of arguments he's making, and then the attitude of the president, the attitude of not just the NPP members, because I've actually also heard shockingly an NDC MP attempt to defend this clear evidence of massive depravity in leadership on the altar of friendship. Because once again, what I know what he's saying is it is bigger than Brian Champon. It's even bigger than the president. Because what is at stake is the republic itself. That's what is at stake. That is what is at stake. And so if we, the citizens of Ghana, all of us, pledge to defend the Constitution of Ghana, then we should come together. It shouldn't be about your partisan coloring, and defy and fight against the wanton destruction of the Republic of Ghana, being championed by the president himself. Being championed by the president, because the president said in his oath that he was going to be faithful to the Republic of Ghana. So then why do you consistently put Ghana in a situation where the system that we've taken upon ourselves, believing that is the best system that can protect the interests of the people of Ghana, is the best system that can protect the integrity of this country? Why do you continuously expose the survival of the system by decisions or non-decisions you make? Because immediately Brian Champon did this. If indeed you had any regard to the oath you took to be faithful to Ghana, and if you understood the potential of what Brian Champon to do to undermine the integrity of our state, immediately you will sack him. Immediately you will sack him. But this is the first time. This president sat down and allowed the interior minister to go and say that he was going to grant about 30 slots to NPP parliamentary candidates. Now, if you understand the role the police or the security agency plays in keeping together our republic, and the fact that the reason why we have this republic and we have this constitution, because we believe that it's the best way in which our personal liberties, our lives, and our right to pursue our own individual happiness can be fulfilled. So you should always have regard to that. So that if, at the end, the institutions that the Constitution has created to enable us achieve that goal, and you, the president, having taken an oath, not only to be faithful to Ghana, but to preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of Ghana, that you are going to dedicate yourself to the well-being of the people of Ghana, and an understanding that if these institutions, if the republic collapses or is placed in the position where it can collapse, then clearly the purpose for which this system was created in the first place, and the system that you yourself took an oath to protect, is going to be undermined. Then what you are doing is to open up the republic to unnecessary threats. You understand? So the Brian Champon situation, the interior minister's situation, where clearly the security agencies were going to be undermined because they are going to put party apparatchiks, the people not on the you are going to make appointments not on the basis of merit. If you take the Galamsey issue, the fact that therein a trust was created by the president has allowed party apparatchiks to, as it were, steal the property of the state. If you take into consideration the extent to which government properties are being sold, like Chichinga, the cantonment lands, the way they are distributed to themselves like Chichinga, then clearly what this by Champon issue is bringing or is exposing is a fundamental lack of integrity of the leadership of Nana Akufo-Addo and its impact on the survival of our republic itself. That is what is happening. And the fact that when this matter has been brought to him, all he could say is that his employment minister should go and have a discussion with organized labor. Does he appreciate and understand the oath he took? Or is it the case that the purpose for which he became president or wanted to become president was not to protect all of our collective interest, and that he was pursuing a parochial agenda? Is that the case? Because SSNIT is becoming one too many. It's becoming one too many. And if really you understand that to be faithful to Ghana, to protect, preserve, defend the Constitution of Ghana, to dedicate yourself to the well-being of Ghana, is going to be undermined if, by your appointment, people do not even believe in the fairness or the ability of the Electoral Commission to be fair. You understand? Because there should always be certain critical policy considerations or purpose for which or which will dictate the kind of decisions you make. You should always have at the back of your mind. So every decision you take as the president of this country, you should have at the back of your mind the oath you took. That is this decision I'm making, or is the use of the powers I've given to any of my ministers, are they using it in the manner that is adverse to the oath I took? So when you, the president, you head up by a champion, a cabinet minister, has put in a bit, because you have had arguments, very interesting arguments. In fact, I want to use the word pedestrian arguments, that because of the separate legal entity concept, the fact that a company is different from its owner, it's not Brian Champon buying it, it's different. But the question is, who is the beneficial owner of Rock City? Where Rock City makes dividends, profits, where would the dividends go? You'll get a picture. So clearly, your cabinet minister has taken a decision that, beyond breaching the public code, even captured in our constitution, is breaching the public trust, and it can potentially undermine the confidence the people of Ghana have in the republic, in the people we've given our powers to. You, the president, when you heard this, when they asked you, did you ask yourself this simple question? In the way Brian Champon is acting, does it represent his being faithful, or my being faithful to the Republic of Ghana? In the way SSNIT is being run, to the extent that SSNIT is being run, or the decisions that the people in SSNIT, the trustees are taking, or the directors are taking, or the directors that you, the president, appointed. Because you understand, SSNIT is the statutory public trust. You understand? So it's no regular company, it's a statutory public trust that's owned by the government of Ghana. You understand? Which, at every point in time, ultimate responsibility on how well SSNIT is run, what to aid the republic achieve the objectives and the social objectives. In how the directors are behaving, does it represent my being faithful, as when I say my here, the president, my being faithful to the Republic of Ghana? Because if at the end of the, under your watch, the directors you've chosen to SSNIT are running SSNIT in such a way that by 2036, SSNIT won't have funds to pay pensioners, potentially breaking the social structure of this country. Potentially. Because if SSNIT can't pay its pensions, just imagine the pressure that will be put to bear on the Republic. And the president, you have no issue. So the president, you're okay. You're okay with SSNIT being run in such a way as to expose the citizens of this country to the mayhem that it can potentially cause. You have no issue. So we talk about corruption. The president said he was going to fight corruption. That's why they did this special prosecutor issue. He does not think that what Brian is doing amounts to corruption. He does not see that selling public property to your cohorts amounts to corruption. Or we think corruption is just when money exchanges hands. But a minister, a public official at the highest level, cabinet minister, is attempting to use that influence to purchase public property. And you don't think that is corruption? Because in this battle against corruption, the number one weapon is the president's own personal integrity. It's the president's own personal integrity. And he does not think that his cabinet minister attempting to purchase public company does not amount to corruption. He doesn't see anything wrong. He doesn't see it that way. The question I had to Nana, is he a leader at all? Because you are the president of Ghana, that is positional. But at the end of the day, you are supposed to be the leader of Ghana. That's why you take an oath to be faithful to Ghana. That's why you take an oath to preserve, to defend the Constitution of Ghana. You understand? So, for me, yes, I commend Okujeto. He's doing great. But it's a worry that it must always be Okujeto, or over the course of 32 years. It looks as if it's always the job of whichever political party is the minority in government to be battling the ills in leadership. And what's even more worrying is the lack of principle of our politicians. Clearly. What was so in the first in J.J. Rollins' time? I remember I was a young boy then, but I remember the uproar and the issues made concerning Nana Kunedu's attempt to buy or the Insawam country. As in when the fact that he even went to, it was even tried, he went to court and all. I remember comments made by certain people belonging to the MPP party, and most of these were still around. And when President Kufuor came into power, there were issues about MPP people attempting to buy public property. Indeed, I remember the first time, well, not the first time, but I think one of the earlier times when Okujeto came into the public was a claim that, not a claim, the MPP chairman, MPP chairman, who was Jacob's attempt to buy a bungalow that he has stayed in. You recall. Then I also recall the uproar in this country, especially from then the MPP members, when the state gave concessions to the brother of President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, as in the Mimehin concessions. So when what's it called? Concessions were given to Ibrahim. That one, it was not buying and selling. It was not the fact that did he have the capacity to undertake those mining projects or not. You see, and so this politics of when I'm in opposition, I criticize, and then when I come into power, I'm seen to be doing the same thing, must end. Because there seems to be a fundamental lack of regard to principle in this country. A fundamental lack of regard to principle. And so, these same people who criticize similar acts, like Honorable rightly said, it's gone on for some time, but we need to draw a line and say that never again should we, and you see, and it's because I'm thinking that it's because people in leadership, well, we the Ghanaians ourselves, we seem to lack a certain regard to the ethics of leadership. Understand? So if it means that, because you see, when you take the constitution of the USA, I think it's about.
Please wrap up for me on that.
So when you see the constitution of the USA, it's about 5-6 pages. There's a reason why our constitution is that big, because I think we all came to a realization because of the way we are thinking. Let's put everything in paper so that there's no ambiguity as to the way things are going. I'll call on Ghanaians that we should push for this. That beyond the public code of conduct enshrined in our constitution, probably we come out with a clear ethical code for ministers and cabinet ministers. Clear one. We don't want any ambiguity. That when you are a cabinet minister, because of what is at stake, because of the potential of your actions to kill the trust the public has in public leadership, then you cannot do A, B, C, D, E, F. You don't leave it. Because of the potential. So, for me, I certainly had a lot more to say, but I wish to end by saying that, listen, we condemn this potential. It must be stopped. The president must at least try and reclaim a little bit of his integrity by stopping this sale immediately and ordering an investigation into the acts of his minister. After he, the president himself, per the terms of the oath he took, that if he breaches his oath, the three oaths, to be faithful, to preserve and defend the constitution, to dedicate himself to the well-being, that if he breaches any of them, that he shall subject himself to the laws of Ghana. I call on him to subject himself because he's clearly breached all. But at the end of the day, what is at stake is bigger than he, the president himself. It's bigger than Brian Champo. It's bigger than any one of us. What is at stake is about the integrity of the system of governance we have taken to protect our lives, our liberties, and our rights to our happiness. And we should not sit down and allow that purpose to be breached.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me do a few comments that are being sent by Facebook. This is Elder Joseph Isiama Donko, who says, Sana, pensioners' monthly allowance increased 15% instead of 25% in January 2024. Our allowances are eroded by the current economic situation. We are worse off currently. Alasan Hamdan said, let's ask ourselves why always Honorable Ablakwa. Is it the only MP in Ghana? Is it the only person fighting for the interests of the nation? Meaning if Honorable Ablakwa was not in parliament, then people would have sold all state properties to their party leaders and we wouldn't have known. God bless Honorable Ablakwa for the good work he's doing for Mother Ghana. May he may he be president one day in Ghana. Kofi Salmon says, let us all learn to speak truth to power. Our opinion leaders, chiefs and clergies have misled us. They are, for all you know, in bed with the Kufuor's government. There's Rasp Hill Mafo, who wants to know how many years Brian Champo contributed to SSNIT. There's Senior Sly, who is also joining us. Since the wind of change is coming, John Mahama and NDC is coming, but Omia bragging and deceiving Ghanaians, continuously promising things he knows he can't deliver. Let's reject him and kick MPP out coming elections, period. There's Abdullahi Silla, who, okay, I will address that issue later. Kujo Fisi says, please, which NDC MP is supporting Brian Champo's Rock City bid to acquire majority shares in those new hotels under discussion? Vondi. I think I know the member of parliament, okay. Yeah. And he said that way?
I'm the central region,
yeah. Okay. So you've heard him say?
Yes.
Oh.
He's in my caucus, so I'm supposed to bring a disciplinary action
against him because of
Central Region caucus, of which I chair. Central Region MPs, NDC minority MPs.
So this is currently before you as the chairman of the caucus?
Yes.
Thank you. There's Tami Moisa, who says it will be unforgivable for well-meaning MPP members to endorse another arrogant candidate like Napo, given their past experience with Akufo-Addo. In 2008, they overlooked Akufo-Addo's arrogance and elected him as their presidential candidate, a decision they have come to regret. They must remember President Kufuor's advice on electing arrogant Akufo-Addo in 2008. There's Juliana D. Nelson says, did Akufo-Addo not say it was immoral for his then government appointees to buy government buildings at Donkumi when Jake, then CJ, etc. were grabbing? Trewajuin says, Ghana is not being governed by Akufo-Addo and Bawumia. Ghana has been invaded by insurgency and barbaric criminals. So those are some of the comments you're sending to us via Facebook. I'll go to the WhatsApp message after I'm done with Don. Good morning.
Good morning, Senator.
Personally, it's been a while too.
Yes, it's been a while. And I've heard of you. Well, I will greet comrades here and our cherished viewers at home. Well, this SSNIT issue, I will start off by saying that I've been lucky to be involved in most of the, should I say, sale and acquisitions of maybe public firms and private firms as well. And therefore, this restricts the way I would want to deal with this issue. I think I should come from purely the professional aspect of getting things done in this environment of sales and acquisition. before you set out to buy or sell any company, I think there are things that you do. And SSNIT, in a way, have tried on their website to explain processes they took the sale through before Rock City bid, and what Rock City bid, and why they gave the lot 1 and lot 2 to Rock City. And I would want it to remain as Rock City for now. So if I have my own company and I want to sell, something must have prompted the sale. I am not making enough money. The business is running down, and I cannot maximize the wealth of shareholders, which is SSNIT, which is only holding it in trust for the working population of this country. And that trust, because we have to believe that our government will work in our interests, has firmly been placed in the hands of government. This is not a government institution. This is an institution owned by workers of this country, held in trust for them by government. And therefore my money is there. Your money is there. And that is where our interest is. Continuing from that, I will say that SSNIT probably themselves may be making losses. Have they considered selling SSNIT themselves? Themselves as SSNIT, have they considered selling it? I don't think they have considered selling it. They might have considered other ways and means of making sure that they stay afloat, and the responsibility given to them, they do justice to that. Now talk of these hotels. One way or the other, I have known them, either as a customer or as an auditor going in there to do some work. But that I cannot speak to. Running an hotel business is difficult, especially in our environment. And at all times, you must seek to have good managers to run those hotels. Is this issue of SSNIT about the location of the hotels are not helping? No, I say they have one of the best in this country. The most advantageous locations to have as a hotel or an hospitality business. 2, in terms of their operations, are they having issues because of their age? They need to replace assets and all that. Are they really having that issue? Are they having issues of patronage? Are they having issues of inexperienced management? Are they having issues of theft? Are they having issues relating to tax and then the financial environment they operate in? If it is a business that I decide that I will no longer put money in, which means I will not increase my liability or equity in those businesses, that alone does not stop the company itself. And here, SSNIT is only a shareholder. Does not stop the company itself. going out there with a good business plan to actually get debt on their books to run and make money. So again, the excuse of SSNIT deciding that we will no longer put in money is moot. Then the processes leading to this. We were told there was a selection of a TA, transaction advisors, who brought up values, and in their own statements they issued, they claimed they looked at replacement costs. What this tells me, normally most of the transaction advisors may not be valuers themselves, and in terms of business valuation, you just don't value the tangible assets, you also value the intangible assets, the goodwill and all that. You are supposed to make a case for what valuation method used. And sometimes, in summary, you would have to put a weight on all the valuation methods, probably 2 or 3 valuation methods. So if you use a cost replacement, if you use the income approach, whatever you decide to use as the valuer, it is not a sealed value. It is only a value based on what you have been presented with and your positioning. That would determine what value you place on an asset. That also does not limit that if you go to the market and you are offered more than what you had valued, then it makes it a good deal. Because the one who also seek to buy, for instance, there is a company in this country that we sought to sell at a certain value on the stock exchange. But right up to the closing of the deal, we realized there is an opportunity to rake in more. And therefore, the value was pushed up, the shares were split, and Ghanaians actually oversubscribed and bought it for more. So government had more than it has anticipated. So nobody again should tell us that it is 1 in a million that somebody made an offer more than they had valued the company for. Again, that is moot in terms of business when you put out an asset for sale. Then let's come back to the fact, and Honorable mentioned it, that SSNIT have the act that the new act kind of reduced their contributions that comes to them, and we had what we call the private advisory firms also taking part of the monies to invest and all that. The issue is it is just government trying to secure monies from us as workers to themselves, because most of them are going back to the same government and borrowing to government with those same monies. Then SSNIT, because of the new act, have also stopped paying lump sum to a certain group of pensioners. Either to SSNIT would have to pay lump sum before paying the monthly allowances to us. Today, because of that act, so the act also comes with some benefit to SSNIT that I just want to clear. And so it takes some burden off the back of SSNIT. Now, Rock City, if somebody comes and says, I am making this offer for 1 and 2, probably they may have done their own private valuation of what the asset is worth. Or in some cases, and especially in the cases of banks, when you have brought your proposal and they have picked the best, we all go into a kind of a board, a sub-board committee where you have your representative, I have my representative, we pick a valuer and the asset is valued. I cannot justify the method SSNIT used or decide for them what method would best suit this transaction. But I can only say that, are we sure that Rock City did not have any insider information about the value placed on the hotel by SSNIT? Again, was it independently the management of the individual hotels that actually did the valuation, or it was the shareholder SSNIT that did the valuation? That is very critical, because if it is SSNIT that did the valuation and I am a cabinet minister, I may be privy to that information. So at the time the valuation was put up, who were those in cabinet? Maybe we may find the shareholders of Rock City on the table of cabinet. That is where, for me, the name Brian Achampon will come in. Was he there? Was he not there? His proximity to the people in there, in cabinet, how close or how remote is it? If SSNIT wishes to tell us all workers how transparent they have been, I would suggest to them, make public the valuation reports. Because I cannot imagine that if you quote 59 million US dollars for tier 1 and tier 2, whereas hotels not the standard of La Beach Hotel and La Palm Royal actually is costing people more than. And in their statement, they have actually stated that, and let me probably pick it from what they actually said in terms of the methodology that they had used. That, look, we have looked at recent similar transactions, and those similar transactions justify the value we have placed on the lot 1 and lot 2. And I can confidently tell you here that I know hotels recently that joined, more recent hotel, not to the standard of what we have at La Beach and La Palm Royal Beach, costing more than $30 million a piece. And so what other hotels are they talking of? And that is why I would challenge SSNIT. Workers, we are interested. Contributors of SSNIT, we are all interested in knowing what value was placed on it and how the values were determined. And once we get that, I think we would all know where this is coming from and where it is going to end. And let me end this by saying that nobody sells a company without looking out for his future interest in the company. Most especially when you want to still hold some amount of shares. If I am taking a decision to sell a company, it is because I want to increase the value of that company. I may hold 70% of a company. That gives me basically nothing. So, in the business boardrooms, what you do is that how much of it can I sell? How much of money can this sale bring back into the hotel in terms of management, restructuring, liquidity, and everything? That will mean that intrinsically my value, although reduced, will still be higher than what I have today. That is the interest you ought to look. SSNIT is quiet on that. That is opaque. That justification has not been made to us as workers. That look, if you want to keep 4% of it, that 4%, due to the sales structure, this is what the value of the hotel will be. And therefore I will hold 4%. But it will mean that in value, I have more than the $60 million I am selling it for. Has that justification been made? If these justifications are made, if these valuations have been put out there for us to see, I think we will be at peace with whatever decision will be. I would say here again that I have no problem with any businessman doing a genuine business. But I think that it is time that we consider making it a law that for any state property or business asset that will be sold, it should first be offered on the stock market for the rest of us all as Ghanaians to buy into that company than offering it to individuals. We have not said to anybody, to any government, that we cannot buy our own business assets as a people. And the processes and the time it will take, it's similar to putting it on the stock market. It is because the scrutiny on the stock market is tedious. Therefore, our own government, who is supposed to make sure that we have a very good capital market in this country, avoids the same stock market, yet wishes the stock market to grow. How is that possible? Did SSNIT consider putting this on the stock market against the consideration that they implemented? And what are the reasons for that? I think we need more information from SSNIT. If this deal has to go on, all these things must be put on the table for the rest of us to know. They are not more knowledgeable than us. They just have the opportunity to serve in trust of workers. And therefore, they should not assume that the rest of us are dummies. And they are the only ones who know what's up. Thank you.
Thank you. And of course, SSNIT has issued only one statement on this issue. The statement they issued where they said they will submit themselves to the process of charge. But they've never given further details on what has happened subsequently. Thank you. Thank you very much, John. There's this one coming from Papa Bisu who says, hi, this whole purchase of SSNIT hotels with the new revelation of the Blaze equally bidding for same, as revealed by Honorable Ablakwa indeed, from my own observation, shows there's a very long arm of the president equally part of interested parties, but preferring to use the face of Barney Champon via Rock City just to cover the 80-year-old president's face. Either way, should the Blaze had won the bidding too, same long arm of the 80-year-old president would have persisted. We must all take note the long-standing friendship between Freddie Blee and Nanado. Point is, Bernie Champo is just a small fish in this purchase. Question is, why is the president very, very quiet and not coming out to stop the purchase if he is not indirectly involved? Why this state capturing by Nanado and his cronies? There's also this one coming from Dennis Yakwete, who says, obviously, looking at the gargantuan nature of Rock City, it may not have been strategically located to transcend political regimes for the purposes of at least breaking even, and hence there must be a plan B to sustain Rock City, which may no longer benefit from government programs in opposition. And Labadi Hotel, among others, come as perfect target to achieve this plan. I'm also tempted to believe that Brian might not be alone in this when one begins to reflect and properly contextualize Brian's earlier statement that the NPP will not hand over power to the NDC. That said, we the working class and by extension SSNIT contributors will not forgive the leadership of the organized labor should this deal go through in its current form and shape. Thank you, Dennis, for that message. Let me read some of the earlier messages I got. This is Hamza in Pig Farm, who says, let me use this opportunity to salute Honorable Blacka wherever he is this morning. I will advise communicators and functionaries of the NPP to stop their attacks and insults on him and do the needful by taking their hands off our hotels. Honorable Blacka, for God's sake, is performing his oversight responsibility as a member of parliament. We know that about $58 million of the poor taxpayers' money has been channeled to the National Cathedral. This was all through the hard work of Ablakwa. Let us not forget Honorable Ablakwa started this fight against the sale of state assets as far back as 2016. Honorable Bernie Champo is also used as a frontier. There are powerful people behind the sale of our hotels, and it is nothing but state capture. A Japadia document in my mind. That's Hamza who sent that. Thank you for that message. Let me read one more and then I'll come to Comic Chrissy Pratt. Good morning. Let's not forget that former president used 3 years to, devolve Ghana 4 years, not 4 years, because the first year was in court. Okay, this one is coming from him. Mr. Pratt.
Well, first and foremost, I'd like to commend Honorable Samuel Okujato Ablakwa, Honorable Ricketts Hagen, and the many other people who have joined this struggle to ensure that those we elect to manage state assets do not leave office with those assets in their pockets. Clearly, the issue at stake is not whether or not the SSNIT hotels are being properly sold or improperly sold. That's not the issue. It is not the issue. The issue is not whether or not they've been properly valued or undervalued or overvalued. That's a non-issue in this discussion. The principal issue is that people we elect into office to manage public assets should not leave office with those public assets in their back pocket. Finish. It is not complicated at all. It's a very simple issue. And this morning, to be quite honest with you, I've seen my brother Nee struggling all over the place and so on. The issue is so simple. It's not as complicated as we want to make it look. We have elected a government. Make sure, the mandate of every government is to make sure the state assets are so well managed that they are able to provide resources or multiply resources for the satisfaction of the needs of our people, for the realization of the aspirations of our people. Finish. Nothing more, nothing less. Okay? So, here are hotels owned by SSNIT. Under no circumstances should these hotels be transferred to public office holders. That's all. That's all. You understand? Now, the argument about whether this is being bought by Brian Achampong or by Rock City Hotel and so on is so pedestrian. We don't even have to go there at all. Yes, it is true that in law, the company is not its owner and so on. But who are the beneficiary owners of the companies? That's the bottom line. You understand? It is clear that the disposal of public assets are decisions which ultimately will end up in cabinet. Okay? Especially in this particular case. So, whether or not there's a conflict of interest he knew or didn't know and so on is completely irrelevant. His position as a member of the cabinet should disqualify him from acquiring those assets. Finished. Nothing more or less. I hope it's very clear, nothing more or less. Now, I'm worried about a certain development. And that development is simply about what others have described as state capture. It's not just about the SSNIT hotels. It's about many things. It's about how the vigilance of our people stopped the privatization of the Electricity Company of Ghana. That's one of the key issues in this discussion. This discussion is about how, in a twinkle of an eye, government bungalows, have ended up in the hands of elected officials. And for me, it's an eyesore. If you go to cantonments, what is happening there is an eyesore. Government bungalows being broken down, monstrous structures being built and so on. And if you ask questions, change of ownership has changed from the state to individuals who have entrusted with responsibility for managing the state. That's a problem. It's a huge problem. I mean, my brother, Mr. Apia Dankwa, linked it up to even the recruitment of persons into the security services and so on. Yes, it is linked. It is state capture, it is linked. I mean, one of the things which I found most horrifying happened last week. When we woke up one morning and were told that the National Investigations Bureau has conducted an opinion poll to help the New Patriotic Party decide on who should be the running mate. I mean, I was so shocked. You understand? And I asked very simple questions. Has this survey been done for the NDC? Has the National Investigations Bureau found it necessary to help the NDC decide who the best running mate should be? Has it done the same for the Convention People's Party? Has it done the same for the People's National Convention and so on? And mind you, these surveys cost resources. Those resources belong to the state. So when those resources are expended for a political party and so on, it does raise many ethical questions and so on. Okay? So that ought to be our worry. Yes, there has been a massive demonstration. Many people attended that demonstration. That demonstration is an expression of the outrage of the public And I noticed that the people who participated in that demonstration came from the Ghana Federation of Labor, they came from the TUC, they came from other organized labor sources and so on. Okay? But is that the remedy? That is not the remedy. That is a way of drawing attention to the problem. But eventually the remedy is to put in place measures which stops elected public officials from grabbing state assets. And that's why I'm happy that there is talk of some legislation coming up to stop political office holders from taking over these assets. You understand? Now, again, the issue of privatization of state and public enterprises comes up again. Look, we know of what the Nkrumah government did, the import substitution program and so on. We know of the numerous factories which were built. At a certain stage, Ghana was producing television sets, radio sets, refrigerators, deep freezers, you know, what have you? Matches, cutlasses, and so on. Today, as a result of reckless privatization of public assets, all of these factories and so on have collapsed. They have collapsed. Indeed, the only enterprises who survive privatization are two hotels. Golden Tulip, which is now Lancaster, and Ambassador Moving Hotel. So clearly, that argument that these enterprises thrive better in labor and so on. The state machinery cannot find managers for a hotel like Labadi Beach Hotel. You mean the whole government structure cannot find people who manage Labadi Beach Hotel? Now, if they cannot manage Labadi Beach Hotel, can they manage Jubilee House? What can they manage if they cannot manage Labadi Beach Hotel? That's a problem. I do hope, and I have confidence, that this struggle will ultimately lead to a Having started contributing to SSNIT in 1974, from 1974 all the way up to 1987. The value of my contributions is 10 cedis. Less than 10 cedis, I think. I decided to forget about it. It's not worth anything. So this is what we are talking about. You understand? This is what we are talking about. And I do not wish to make any more comments.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So what I'll do is I'll go through a few comments that have been made by those of you who are watching us and listening to us before we move on to the next discussion. Musa Batwa says, let's call a spade and not a big spoon. God bless people like Honorable Kujato Ablakwa and those who have demonstrated against the sale of SSNIT asset. Honorable Ablakwa has consistently exposed corruption and Akufo-Addo and Bawumia's leadership with substantial evidence. His unwavering commitment to fighting for Ghana and standing up against the hawks in our political system is truly commendable. Tafainama here says, Sana, if they said those hotels are not doing well, that is why they sold them, then what about state transport? That's STC. That's also doing worse. And the SSNIT owns 80% in state transport. That's performing badly. But they rather went for the hotels that are making profit, as we were told. Thank you for that message. This one, okay, some more messages from Abbas Amogobo in Ofingso. Says, good morning. God will never allow Dr. Bawumia to scam Ghanaians again. Look at how difficult it's taking him to choose just a running mate. This is the man who called Mahama so many names, including being incompetent and indecisive. His disgrace is just near. That's Abbas Amogobo's focus this morning. And then there's Habib Bantus in Italy who says, good morning. If Brian Echampon has so much money to buy SSNIT hotels, why don't he go somewhere else and build new hotels like Ross City? Conflict of interest and state capture is the order of the day under the mother serpent of corruption. It's only in Ghana, when you fight corruption, it fires back at you. President Akufo-Addo and Bawumia government shall go down in history as the most corrupt government in Ghana ever had. We remember how Akufo-Addo added $800 million to the Ameri deal, if not for the vigilance of the NDC in Parliament. We shall never forget PDS and the wanton grabbing of state lands, including Cecilia Dapa's money in her bedroom. 2024 elections is an opportunity to put this corrupt government out of power and reclaim everything stolen from us Ghanaians. GM come and rescue us. We can't breathe. Beep sent that. There's Angelo who says, as an individual and at this stage, I think I need some vigorous education. What is it that is in state assets that MPP politicians always desire to subvert to themselves? Ghana still has empty beaches, and well-wishers who wanted to invest can go and acquire and do same, as the government did in the case of La Beach Hotel and others. I still don't know what the interests really are. That's Angelo who sent that one. Prince Henry Koforidua says, in fact, Nana Akufo-Addo, aka the mother serpent of corruption, doesn't respect Ghanaians at all, because if he does, I don't think he would sanction this Onchendi SML deal again. The only way to seek accountability from the MP government led by Nana Bawumia is by voting them out. Thank you very much for that message. Davisana says, good morning. In discussions on the mafia acquisition of state hotels by Brian Champon, are you also thinking about the fact that he could well be acting as a front for, he mentions the president and Achim mafia? Let's shine our eyes. So this has come up consistently in most of the comments I'm seeing this morning. In fact, one of the things you can easily do is, I dare you to just pick an Uber or a taxi and let the driver drive you around Cantonments and be asking the driver, who owns this? Who owns this? You see the names they mention. You'll be amazed at the kind of information that people share with you when you are sitting in a car not saying anything. They are telling you who is building this, who is building that, who is pulling this down to build this, who this belongs to, who that belongs to, around, especially the Cantonments area. It's amazing. We'll move on to a separate discussion.
Just a quick one. Because Uncle Messi mentioned something about the performance of the hotels. Yeah. You may have a company that has a good P&L, which bottom line is positive, but has a very bad cash flow. And you may have a hotel that also have a negative bottom line. I mean, the profits are not looking good, but a very strong cash flow, liquid cash to take on opportunities and all that. So even with that, it comes back to the same management.
Okay, thank you.
Is that important?
No, I'm saying that it comes back to the management, that you put a good management and you have the good results.
Yes, but
so the situation is actually to do with management and not the sale.
Please. What you're saying, as far as I'm concerned, and I'm sorry to say that, is completely irrelevant in this discussion. Completely, and you know that. We are saying that no matter what, whether the company is doing well or is not doing well, the people we elected to look after our interests should not leave office with those properties in their back pocket.
Agree with.
The bottom line.
That I agree with.
So the argument 100%. You're making is totally irrelevant.
That I agree with. But that is not to say. That is not to say that if we would have the opportunity to make more as a nation by selling, we shouldn't. You see, today we are looking at Rock City and not to the politicians.
That is the issue.
Yes, you say that, and we conclusively. Agree on that.
It's 10 cities today. I mean, that is a clear failure of the management of that particular SSNIT, scheme. The other thing is the political angle of it. I completely agree, and that's why I will support the bill that Okujoto wants to bring up. Whatever has happened in the past, and it's probably happened on both sides, going forward, because of the abuse, as I said, I believe that's from independence, from Nkrumah's time. I believe that people, government officials, civil servants have been buying parcels of land to build their house. At that time, it wasn't a problem, it wasn't alarming. We have not seen what we've seen today. And for that reason, we should prevent all this from happening again in the future by any government official leaving office, and put it in Kwesi's words, having a government asset. The very things that they are supposed to be responsible for at the back of their pocket. For me, that's straight and simple.
Thank you.
No analysis on whether it's a good sale or bad sale. My question, what will SSNIT even use the money for? They have no use for that money other than giving it to government to squander it.
Well, this is, and I'll come to you to start off the second discussion for us, and it has to do with the NDC naming the campaign team. Just two messages. One, this is from Maswala Kpabia Yawaso, his constituencies. Says, Honorable Kujato, God bless Honorable Kujetu for standing firm even in the face of vilifications and condemnation by Brian Ichampon and his MPP colleagues to continue the fight against state capture. The December 7th, Brian and his people will see their smoothness levels. This one is coming from Nanka Bruce, Cape Coast, who says, in fact, I'm shocked at the Akufo-Addo government selling state properties and state lands across the length and breadth of the country to give themselves. It's like when they die, they will take it along to their grace. Basana, I was very happy when I heard His Excellency John Mahama saying, quote, the Akufo-Addo and Bawumia is disposing of state lands and properties at an unprecedented rate. When elected, my administration will prioritize the investigation and repossession of these lands. Sends greetings, Honorable Ricketts. Honorable, so the NDC this week named a campaign team. In fact, they have a campaign team, they have a steering committee. If you look through the campaign team, no member of parliament was named, none at all. It was only Richard Koshiga who is actually coordinating the parliamentary campaigns. They have, I think, the national organizer who is in charge of regional campaigns. Honorable Fifi Avikoite, who is the general secretary of the party, is the national coordinator of the campaign. They have a flag bearers campaign, which is led by Professor Joshua Alabi, and then they have a running mate campaign, which is also led by Mr. Alesek Befia. So that's the structure they've put out. Honorable, start off the discussion for us on the campaign team. Please, you have 10 minutes.
Yeah, probably we need 5. I don't actually see the issue that people are talking about. For me, first of all, I must commend the party for making progress, towards an effective campaign. We've done things step by step, and we've got to a point where we have to put our campaign team together, manifesto follows, and then we are good to go. We have vice running mate in place and all that. And that's commendable. Look at that, we are in the middle part of the year, exactly 6 months, to go. And nothing surprises me in this. You would expect the party to have a campaign team. You would expect the president to have a campaign team. You would expect His Excellency Nana Akufo-Addo to have a campaign team. You will not expect that members of parliament will necessarily be part of the campaign team. Look, if all of us, and most of the members of parliament are actually running for their seats and to win the president and election in their constituencies, if we should all go out there, members of parliament and the parliamentary candidate, the PCs, we are all now PCs. If we should all go out there and campaign for the president, John Dramani Mahama, and ourselves, we probably wouldn't need a campaign team. If we should win in all our various constituencies that we are contesting, parliamentary and presidential, the campaign team actually would be irrelevant, wouldn't be needed. So I don't expect to burden parliamentary candidate with being part of the campaign team. In fact, the people who are in the campaign team cannot work with anyone except the parliamentary candidate, because they are what's the campaign team for? To campaign in all the 275 constituencies in the country, and all of them have parliamentary candidates on the side of the NDC. Some are MPs, some are coming up. So the beauty of this is that you realize that those who are the key people who are managing JM, the president, are also part of the party campaign team, as Professor Joshua Alabi. The same thing with Auntie Nana, as I call her, team. So it tells you that some coordination will need to happen, because part of having a running mate is not just to win power and make the running mate your vice president and assign her to do things. You have to win an election. Her face is not on the ballot, paper. She's supposed to help the president or the incoming president to campaign across the country which he probably will not be able to do on his own, in the last 6 months. So she will be able to take part of the country, and His Excellency John Dramani Mahama will also take part of the country to campaign. So they will all need their own team to be able to coordinate their travels and activities crisscrossing the nation. Same with His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And the party will also be doing the same. But if you don't coordinate it, that's where you will have a problem. Because you should, at all times, after they have, this becomes a division of labor. After they have set out the division of labor, you need to be able to know where everyone is at what time, and the challenges being faced, and probably making some changes. It's like a football match. You need to maybe move people from positions, different positions, to play in other positions. And I am happy. Of course, Honorable Atuforsen is in there, in the party's campaign team, obviously as the leader of the minority, so that we in Parliament can also coordinate with the campaign structures that's been set up, by the party. So, to be honest with you, I was not expecting my name to be in the campaign team, either at national or at the presidential level, because I have a job to execute for His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for the party, and that is to win Cape Coast South in the presidential and parliamentary election. Same with my brother and many of us, or all of us who are out there. So our hands are full to be coming to Accra, and because if you are part of the campaign team, you should be coming to Accra in order to attend campaign strategic meeting and all, which some of them will be invited. We have Honorable Atuforsen, who will be part of some of these meetings and will be able to convey to us any strategic, moves or changes that are going on. So for me, it's well, maybe you say nothing is perfect. It is near perfect structure that we have at the moment. And we are good to go. You just have to put the manifesto in, and we are ready to go. So I am quite happy, and I am extremely happy. I mean, I'm the caucus chair of the Central Region. So I already have a responsibility of winning my own constituency, presidential and parliamentary, and also supporting my colleagues, PCs, not only the members of parliament, the PCs across the 22, if you take mine out, constituencies in the region, to win the election. So the layers have been put in place, and the pyramid has been built. So it's just a matter of things trickling down, strategies trickling down, and there are people on the field to do the work. You don't want to create any complicated structure of having members of parliament because they have to be part of the. You are just creating a cumbersome structure. That's a simple, straightforward, effective, executable, and winning team. It's in place. While we are still waiting for some running mates and other people being put together. So there is no argument as far as this is concerned, not to look at any personalities and see whether they are at the right place. I don't see it. Whoever else, and it's not just the names that they've mentioned. There are so many other people who are doing things together. Don't forget, we have committees that were set up to put the manifestos and all that together. And some of these committees have taken life of their own in terms of organizing programs and all that. As I sit here, I'll be going to my constituency. One such committee is coming, has organized a program there with the women and all that. And this is to support me in the constituency. So the structures are there. And there may be some overlaps, but you need overlaps. Because when you have the overlaps, then it becomes a watertight type of system that nothing gets ignored. because somebody will cover it. And for me, that is the structure that I see.
Okay.
And the way it's been designed, for me, as I said, nothing is perfect, so we say near perfect.
Okay. Thank you.
I hope I did 5 minutes.
Thank you very much. Emmanuel from Tema says, please, what would the state workers' contribution to the scheme be if our tour is given out? Are our pensioners and subsequent ones from now to years to come going to receive benefits? We must be very circumspect dealing with this matter. I think if they think they are not capable of managing our future saved money, then they must pay everyone's contributions with interest accrued over time to them. Then they can take those properties, do what they want with it. Because looking at things, workers who all contributed to the scheme will earn them nothing in the future. Emmanuel sent that from Tema. Lawyer, I'm sure you've seen the campaign team of the National Democratic Congress. What do you think?
I have very little to say, except to say that I think this is a bit of the job of the politician that they really enjoy. Ghana politicians in general, not all of the majority of us, enjoy the campaign, but we don't know how to govern. We enjoy the campaign, the razzmatazz, the going around, but then when it comes to the nitty-gritties of delivering governance that will uplift the general lives of the people, we are seriously found wanting. For me, see, the interesting bit of the NDC's campaign team is not necessarily on the team. I'm not part of the NDC, so I wouldn't know the individual strength of the members in terms of selling one Jomama and then selling his message, because essentially that's the tax. Their tax is to sell the person of Jomama as being capable of leading, especially after he was rejected massively by Ghanaians in 2016. Because my personal view is that, and I think I'll say it again, and one thing that has helped Jomama, because honestly speaking, in 2016 when Mama lost the election and the manner in which he lost the election, I thought his political career was over, to be honest with you personally. But what has helped Mama is the unbelievable extent of failure of Nana Akufo-Addo and his mate, who wants us to give him the steer. But we won't give him the steer. That's what has held, in my view, is helping Mama, because clearly, in my view, as much as I felt that when he became president, he didn't do much. He didn't give the kind of leadership that is required to transform this country. I say it without any fear and any doubt that he's much better. He was much better than the kind of leadership what's it called, Nanado is giving us. But collectively, when I consider the way we do politics in this country in general, the only conclusion I come to, and I think that's why there seems to be a lack of euphoria and excitement going to the 2024 elections. The fact that, and I'm very convinced in my mind, the majority of politicians, not all, but majority of the politicians we've seen right now, they enjoy the campaign, the running, but they don't know how to. And then this is born out of also the weaknesses in our political parties. Because one of the key functions of a political party really is to find and identify credible people who can give leadership that will transform the nation. Because ultimately, both MPP, NDC's constitution, or the other political parties, certainly for the Honorable Lanchman and why some of us are joining, the purpose of all political parties is to lead to the ultimate transformation of the country. That's also every decision you take as a political party, in terms of who you are going to sponsor, because really they are going to sponsor. That's what they do. They sponsor. They have the power to build public opinion, mobilize public opinion, lead discuss. But the focus, the purpose ultimately should be whether it's in choosing who you sponsor, whether it's in how you mobilize public opinion. Whatever a political party does, the focus ultimately has to be how does it help in our agenda to transform the country. And I think that the political parties have failed in that regard, both the MPP and the NDC, especially the MPP, but also the NDC, in that I believe strongly that both parties have talented people both parties. As in, I've never bought, even when I was in the NDP, I've never bought that idea from the NDP that seemed to suggest that anybody in the NDC was rubbish. As in, it can't be possible. Because really what was dividing them, or ought to have divided them, was a difference in ideas. But then the parties are all united in their object of transforming the country. So I've always believed that the NDC also has talented people who can transform the country. The question is whether or not the party is strong and the strategies are strong enough to identify those people and then project them. I think that's where I think the political parties have failed, because one of the biggest sins the NPP has done was to sit down and allow somebody like Nanado to lead us. And he, having led us, to also sit down and watch on aloof and allow him, give him the free rein to destroy or bring our democracy to an extent where right now its survival is even is discussed. You get a picture. Yeah. Also, right now, political parties instead are interested in vile propaganda. Because on Thursday, I couldn't believe that one of the biggest newspapers in this country, linked to will bring up the issue of Haruna and Muntaka, why they have not been added. And you could see clearly exactly where they were going to fuel, in my view, a very unnecessary propaganda that there is a rift between them and then but you see, you can understand why they do that, because, like I said, our politicians are really interested in how to get the power, but they have very little regard to delivering a governance that's exposing our whole country to a potential of the benefits of the system we have chosen, which in my view is the surest system to protect the purpose of what government should be, which is to protect our liberties, our lives, and our individual pursuit of our happiness. So yes, they've done well. At least they've brought up with a campaign team. Like I'm saying, somebody saying Mufas Mami, he's struggling to even choose his running mate. So at least they have brought up their campaign team. It's interesting because I think they have 3 campaign teams. The party itself has its campaign team. The candidate himself has his own team, and then and for me, it seems to suggest that as if so yes, I know that they're all campaigning for His Excellency John Mahama. Maybe because of the danger of the misinformation that's in the system and how it's hindering our ability to transform it. And a lot of Ghanaians are of the impression that really, when they are going to vote, they are going to vote for the political party. I've had conversations with certain people in the NPP. I'll mention their names, who tell me clearly that they know that His Excellency Dr. Bawumia can't do the job. Yeah, they are going to, so don't vote for him, but they vote for the NPP. But you see, that misinformation is dangerous, because then you are going to choose. The tax on us as citizens, 7 December, is to choose a leader. You know, and we don't give that leadership to the political parties. And then in another have shown us where his party clearly has told him, sack your finance minister because he isn't doing well. Now, the person we vote for is the candidate. You understand? Because we run the presidential system. So really, where we have a situation where the president himself has his campaign team. The vice has his campaign team. The party, it forces that impression that we really are voting for the political party, but we are not voting for the political party in the presidential election. We are voting for the candidate. Yeah, you understand? So, I have little to say, except to say that at the end, the ultimate decision will be the decision of Ghanaians, and so we cannot also extricate ourselves from the problems that we are faced because of the kind of considerations we have when we are making those very critical decisions. They will come and sell their candidates to you, John Mahama in this instance, and his message. Let us be guided ultimately by our love for our country and the demand on all of us as Ghanaians to build our country. And the role that leadership has in directing us, all of us, in that tax that is on us, because nobody will build this country for us. We will build Ghana ourselves. But to succeed in that, we need credible leadership. Indeed, going to 2024, we need a restoration of the trust because of the extent to which leadership has been depraved. Let us have regard for all that and make a choice or choose a leader who has the ability to restore the confidence we have in leadership. And my view is that as much as I've said here that I think John is better than Nanado and certainly better than Bawumia, I think Honorable Alhaji Martin is better than all of them.
Okay.
So let us vote for Honorable Alhaji Martin to restore credibility in leadership. Thank you.
Thank you. Hadi in Pig Farm says, may Allah bless and protect Honorable Blackwell for the good work he's doing for Mother Ghana. We, the good people of Ghana, will be very funny to elect Dr. Bawumia as our president come December 7, 2024. If Dr. Bawumia has what it takes to be president, he should have used it to help his boss, Nanado. What difference will he bring? He should use his knowledge to help solve the economic problems we are facing. Vote for a visionary leader. Vote for GM and Jane. He says, Mash Taylor Yendi says, good morning, Pan-African TV, and your dignified guests, especially Comrade Pratt. Please, what at all does MPP want from NDC? Remember, the MPs and PCs are already the heads and initiative of the running of the party in their various constituencies. If you make them part of a campaign team, who is going to take care of their constituencies? An example is Honorable Haruna Idris, who has already taken care of many constituencies in the northern region. If you add him to the national campaign team, who is going to take care of the region? My humble regards to, the one and only Honorable Haruna Idris. Ni?
Well, my good friend, Biggie subtly gave a jab to us, and I think I'll respond to that first. To say that the only reason why President Mahama looks promising is because of the failure of the current government. I think that is far from what it is. President Mahama is campaigning on the history of what he did, his legacy, and what is offering going forward in the future. And I think that is very clear to everybody. And those records can be put to test in any circumstance, and he will still stand tall. That should be made very clear. He's not campaigning based on the failures of this government. The failures of this government belongs to this government. What the NDC is going to campaign on is what he did during his tenure. Good or bad, what he did is for everybody to judge. And we can attest to the fact of what he did today, that most of them have come to be of great benefit to the people of Ghana. So I need to take that away first. Now, I think we've done something very good with this campaign team selection. Either you would have the flag bearer having his team, his campaign team, that seems to be controlling affairs. Then you have the national executive having some parallel campaign team, which is not so recognized, and all kind of things happens, and it looks like the people close to the flag bearer controls basically everything and all that. You have the issues of finances and all that, who is in charge of what and all that. I think that the way it has been structured this time around, it will bring some synergy into the entire campaign that we intend to wage going forward. So that's for me a very good plus. What is there for us to know is that at the end of the day, it's not the I's, it's the T's. It's the team that you build. Once we are able to build a team all the way down to the various constituencies, and we get the right synergies within those teams, I think that is what would ultimately pay off for us as a party. And so this is a good step. Let's see how it will work. It depends on how everybody plays its role in a team, knowing that a lower shoulder will only make way for someone to push through and break our front and all that. With this, I think we don't need to say much about it. I think this will be the first time we've put such a team together. The other issues are, not everybody can get onto the campaign team. Yes, you can talk of certain qualities, of certain persons that probably are needed. But that does not mean that because of the way it has been set, they are not involved. In fact, I believe that if you are not even mentioned, that is what gives you the opportunity and the leverage to even do more without people having to focus on you. Most of these names, when they are mentioned, it also brings a lot of pressure on you. People believe that once you are mentioned in the campaign team, you have all the T-shirts, you have all the finances, they'll start knocking on your doors and all that. So I mean, it's a huge relief for especially the MPs who are close to the people on the ground and all that. Just imagine being the caucus head of Central Region and again being part of the campaign team. I mean, his house will become the campaign house for the whole region. And I don't think that pressure can be sustained by Honorable. So I think this is something good. We should make it work. Because the moment it does not work, then it means we have to go back to probably the whole system, keep trying something else and all that. But I think this is something which will work, and I pray it works.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Let me just read some Ambassador Sampiale's comment. How can MPs be made members of the national campaign teams when they have their own seats to win to go back to parliament? Don't buy into MPP's mischievous agenda if finding faults with everything the NDC do. There are so many other things that other people are engaged in. Mr. Pratt?
Well, there's a lot of mischief in the air. And over the last month or two, I've observed, this mischief. And it's about people cooking up stories, faking letters and statements, and putting it on the web.
Yeah. Especially Facebook.
With the intention of creating discontent and so on. I mean, I was a victim, about 6 weeks ago, when a statement was attributed to me that I was complaining that NDC activists were after my blood and so on. And completely, absolutely fake. And then last week, there was this letter purportedly signed by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama announcing his cabinet, and so on. And the mischief was very clear. It was so very clear. The intention of that letter was clearly to sow seeds of discord, in the party and in the campaign. It was very clear, And then, of course, when the campaign team was announced, this whole thing about Haruna Idrisu and Muntaka being left out, I mean, the mischievous intent was so very clear. A campaign team is formed on the basis, of some criteria and so on. And how Haruna and Muntaka popped up as having been left out is so very strange and so on. But yet it was put out there, and fortunately, its mischief was cured very quickly, and didn't seem to make any impact at all. But Sana, I'll be honest, as I always try to be, there's a problem with the campaign team announced. It's a huge problem. You see, you take the running mate of President John Dramani Mahama, and she brings many things to the table. But key amongst the things that she brings to the table is the gender question. The empowerment of women is key. Key amongst them is a role in education and so on. What in this campaign team reflects that? Nothing. Look at her campaign team. Where are the women in her campaign team? Where are the women in Professor Jane Nana Opoku Ajiman's campaign team. It's a male-dominated campaign team. It takes away some of the message. You understand? I have known my friend and brother Ejeni Boateng over a very long time. He has a very quiet disposition. He's a gentleman and so on. Is that all? So she has spokespersons, two. The male spokesperson and the deputy. We're all male. Doesn't make sense. Something is wrong. How are her strengths reflected in the campaign team that has been crafted for her? But that's their problem.
Yeah, that's an interesting landing. Thank you.
It may be her call. Probably it may be.
I don't intend to make any more comments. But it's clear. It's clear.
That's a valid.
Because her campaign team should reflect her strengths. I don't see it.
That's a call.
I don't think so. It can't be a call.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so I think on the last matter of the growth that we see in the economy, if you can take some brief comments around to close the show, that would be a bad idea. Yeah.
I cede my slot to Honorable Ricketts.
I suspected that. Anyway, all right, you'll be starting for us all throughout the program. So kindly start, but I just expect you to be as brief as possible so that I don't have to come in.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so having my own time and Chris's time, I'll try and but I will keep it, simple and make it a way that our people who are listening to us and watching us will actually understand. I mean, the problem with these economic and finance numbers is they throw them about and people, go to the market with them, and start jubilating and doing other things that most of the time are premature, only to later find out that what we were supposed to have achieved actually, is not exactly what we've been told. People ask, I remember somebody asking me, what does this mean? Economy is grown by, 4.7 in the first quarter of the year. What does that really mean? What has been measured? It measures the output of the economy. That is Ghana's economy, which is basically known as the GDP. This is just a headline figure. But when you look at the metrics of the numbers behind this, it's a lot of interpretation. And those are the things you need to look at, not just the headline, because the headline number is just an aggregation. So you can have negatives and positives and end up looking positive. It doesn't mean that there's no hunger in the system. It doesn't mean that, cost of living is not high. It doesn't mean, that people are still not struggling to get jobs and all that. So there are 3 indicators that they use in measuring growth. So first of all, what I want to say is that this is much ado about nothing. And we should not celebrate with this, especially considering the difficulties that we've had as a country, or we still having, for the last 8 years, with COVID and Russia-Ukraine war and all the other things that, they blame this economy on. We are not out of the woods yet. And I keep saying this, that we are nowhere out of the woods. In fact, we'll be going deeper into the woods before we'll probably see some light, somewhere. This figure is just measuring the economic output, the growth, year on year. So when you have a bad last year, as a result of your mismanagement and whatever, and somehow things are getting better for you, you could record a very high number as your first quarter number against the last quarter of 2023. So your number could look good. Yes, it's good number, it's heading in a positive direction, it is good news. But it also tells you that things were not really good in last quarter. So this is first quarter of 2024. The 4.7 is measured against the first quarter of 2023. That's what this is basically telling us. Okay. That we have done better in this quarter than we did in the last one. And we know the situation we were in the last quarter. Now, there's another, if you look at that figure they have, 4.7, against just last quarter, and that's the last quarter of 2023, that recorded, I believe, 1.2 or so. It tells you that the economy itself in nominal terms has gone up a bit. So let's say the economy was, Ghana's economy is not, if you look at it on a quarter basis, about, say, 51 billion Ghana cedis. So in the last quarter of 2024, we had like 48 billion. And in 2024 first quarter, we now have 51 billion. So if you take the difference and work it as a percentage, then you'll be able to know how the economy has grown from one quarter, and that's the last quarter, the immediate quarter, to the next one. So that's one indicator you should look at. Before you also look at year on year, how badly the economy performed last year against what it is now. Mm-hmm. But at the end of the day, what is all this? How does it translate into? You go further down and drill down. As I said, there's a lot of metrics in there that you need to look at. When you drill down the numbers, what are the drivers of this growth? That is what the government should concern itself with. To be able to make sure that the investment that is making, and I'm talking about government investment, government putting money, it's actually going into the right places and is growing the economy in the right places. Okay. You want to grow the economy to be able to create jobs and all that. Is this 4.7? Are the drivers of the 4.7 job creating drivers? You realize that there were negative figures. There was negative on health, negative on education. Health and education are the two major areas of your economic, subsector. You have electricity. You are planting for, what is it called? You are doing 1D, 1F. To be able to industrialize, you need electricity, and your electricity is growing negative, though your first quarter is growing positive. It means that these are the places government needs to look at to be able to improve the electricity side of things for us to be able to. So this figure is not a figure that anybody should start tickling themselves and laughing, but should rather drill down and look at what is in there and make sure that the right investment, the right policy decisions are made to be able to grow the economy and create jobs. And I'll end on this one. If you look at the mining sector, for instance, the mining sector is grown about 12% or something. And you ask yourself, why? What is happening in the mining sector? Yes, some new mining are coming on stream. There's also galamsey involved in this mining growth. Is that a good growth? Okay. As against cocoa farms being destroyed for galamsey. Okay. So you are getting less growth in agriculture, more growth in mining. But the mining growth is not a good growth because it is destroying our cocoa farms, our forests, and all that to be able to achieve this. So you need to redirect the government investment in the right areas. So mining also mostly is in the hands of foreigners, apart from the galamsey. So it doesn't bring a lot of benefits to the citizens of Ghana. So the economy may be growing, But it's not growing on the man on the street.
Honorable, thank you. Thank you. There's certainly a lot to talk about, but time is not our friend. Ni, before I come to lawyer.
Well, I think all we need to do is to just find the meaning of what growth actually is. Growth means that we have all earned more. Our output is more than it used to be. And that means that government should rake in more taxes. And employees and employers should be earning more. Those below the poverty line, a lot should actually break the poverty line and come out of the poverty line. I mean, a growth that does not ensure any of this, basically, it's not a growth. And I think Honorable has touched on that. What are the factors that actually led to this growth, and have we looked at the effect of inflation alone on the growth? I bet you that we may have to go in there and find out that the entire 4% belongs to inflation. And therefore, what is it about that? For me, I don't see anything for us to discuss.
Thank you, Ni. Lawyer.
That's you see, one of the fundamental problems of this economy is the lack of credibility. I don't even trust the information they're about. But I don't know why they are making so much noise about this. They're not telling us that about 7.8 million of our compatriots are said to be multidimensionally poor. It's not about coming to bundle 4.5. At the end of the day, everything is going down. We are going deeper into the woods, like Honorable yes said. So, listen, like I said, they want the power, they don't want to govern. The economy has lost credibility. Nobody wants to put their money in the economy. People are increasingly getting poor. Cost of living is skyrocketing. You understand? All the factors of the economy are in the negative, and because you are thinking about 2024 elections, you want to start throwing dust into the eyes of Ghanaians. On 7th December, come 2024, they'll see the state of the economy in how we vote. That's what I was saying.
Thank you.
Just 30 seconds. You know, I mean, this whole thing about growth in the economy and so on. You can't pay your debts. You have suspended the payment of your debts. Prices are skyrocketing. Inflation. One tomato is 10 cedis. And then say growth 4.7. What does that mean?
That's a fact.
Thank you. Thank you very much. This tomato matter is another matter on its own. Yes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 cities. And you say growth.
Thank you. Let me say, okay, so condolences to the family of Foster Opare. Foster Opare was the longest serving driver at Radio Gold, passed on about a month or two ago. We are burying him today at this hometown of Kitasi. Condolences to the entire family. On behalf of Radio Gold and also on my own personal behalf, condolences to the family. And then a happy birthday to Archbishop David Kwatelai Korte. I hope I got that name right. The Archbishop David Kwatelai Korte. Happy birthday to you. And also happy birthday to the lovely Madam Eugenia Lai Saki in the UK. Happy birthday to you. Well, we are done for today, and thank you very much for making time to join us on today's show, the Mother of All Talk Shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. We're live from the Osaji for Dr. Kwame Nkrumah studio of Pan-African Television. As always, it's a pleasure to see Kwame Kwesi Pratt Jr., who is the General Secretary of the Socialist Movement of Ghana. I always say that because that is his major dedication this time around to propagating socialism as the best way to get Africa out of the difficulties we are confronted with. Wonderful to see him this morning, and always wonderful to see lawyer Apia Dankwa in the studio. He is a member of the Alliance for Revolutionary Change, Movement for Change, joining us in studio, and member of Parliament for Cape Coast South, Honorable Kweku Rikis Hagan, joined us in the studio, and so did my very good friend, the Don. Me, your boy, Anan, who is a financial analyst, a member of the NDC in Ododo. That's our panel for today, and I hope you did enjoy the show. Sorry if I couldn't go through your messages. I know if you see me on the street, you will tell me. But thank you very much for making time to join us. We are back same time next week to another edition of the show. A big thank you to our other affiliate stations, and do make a date with us. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and have a fruitful week.
He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. Thank you.
imminent threat of a compromised voters register, we adopted a precautionary measure going into the limited registration exercise. And that is why the NDC tasked its registration agents across the country to record the serial numbers of all BVD kits that will be deployed by the Electoral Commission. And the logic is simple. You have so many registration kits. You claim some thief has stolen some of them, whose identity you refuse to disclose to us, so we can track them when we see them somewhere. Now, if we say that, okay, if we cannot track those that are missing, at least we can track those that are in use now, so that when we know those that are in use, then data from any other equipment that is not in use in our registration centers here would then be rejected as fraudulent data that is coming from elsewhere. Now that you say no way, we won't allow you to take the serial numbers and track the equipment that is being used in this country. What is the reason? As I have said earlier, among other things, the essence of recording the serial numbers of the BVR kits will help us trace, identify, and match every registration data emanating from a specific district or electoral area. The serial numbers will also help us track all unauthorized personnel who operate the BVR kits in an electoral area. This will forestall any clandestine registration aimed at contaminating the voters' register. We are determined to ring-fence the threat and risks for the 2024 elections.
The NDC Women's Wing orientation and inauguration of the Working Committee of the Chobo constituency was held on Saturday, 5th May 2024 in Accra on the theme, Mobilizing the Women in Building the Ghana We Want Together. In an interaction with the press, the National Women's Organizer of the party, Honorable Hannah Louisa Bisiu, urged all and sundry to vote for the flag bearer, John Dramani Mahama, since his 24-hour economy initiative will help boost businesses and create jobs for the unemployed.
What the Women Development Bank is about, I won't say what they ban like the one from store in the say, let me go what you say. Yaya, to tell you about what me copy. Maybe we are limited me copy. Wow, can you go now to me copy? Wow, we cake, we juice, what on Yama, wow, we nam at home, wow, what on the Mayato, give me that buying them. So Mahama, 24-hour economy, when Jamman was Sunday bank, but given you are trying to participating active to make our child. So I want to hear one country will be one country will be said. 24-hour economy, as it's raining and they said, the Bayer Juma 3 shifts, a Bemen or better we could do as for just a security service in your Macron Spanish to my jet. Said you open back what a human and your home was sick at 12 night and you're better to the national. Or then you have 24-hour economy or the back up from Prague, and then can you never use an answer? Better swap. Said you
Meanwhile, a leading member of the women's wing of the party, Ethel Jifa Simmons, says the time has come for women to feel belong since the party chose a woman as its running mate.
Of our program today, or the aim of the Women's Working Committee, is just to It's just to create the awareness for ladies. It's just to make our women feel involved in whatever we are doing. To create a space for them to be able to also work in the party, not just leaving everything to the men. As we all know, we have a woman as our running mate, so we are making our women feel belonged and not being left out. That is the main aim of the Women's Working Committee.
The event was graced by high-profile dignitaries, including parliamentary candidate for Trobo constituency, Dr. John Ham, the national women's organizer of the NDC, Honorable Hannah Louise Abisiu, leading member of the women's wing of the NDC in the Trobo constituency, Jemima Luguzuri, amongst others. For Pan-African Television, Daniel Kwabna Asari's report.
Effect under our current dispensation is that the National Communications Authority, who by law or by statute is mandated to be a regulator of spectrum, does not have the responsibility by law to be the regulator of contents. Okay. The National Media Commission, under the 1992 Constitution, has been mandated to be the regulator of contents. And this is the scenario. Meaning if you are showing a content and the NMC, the NCA, that gave you the power, the spectrum to operate and can take the spectrum, is not allowed to regulate contents. They will look at spectrum infringements. But the National Media Commission, that is regulating content, is not the one that gave you the spectrum and cannot necessarily so move to withdraw it. Okay. So it creates a vacuum when those two institutions are not working together. What the bill is seeking to do is to fix that vacuum or close it so that there are mandates where we don't have to duplicate but have some amendments in the statutes permitting NCA to work, or where we can create an additional mandate under the broadcasting bill so that they can work together to sanitize the media space. They will do that. The bill is also heavy on the protection of children and minors, okay, and the kind of contents that are shown and when they are shown, and also on new media. We know in Ghana today all the statistics that I've given are related to traditional media, but the proliferation we have in the space, everybody can just take up a phone, create a YouTube channel, create a Facebook or TikTok channel and say, I'm broadcasting. And we don't even know whether bloggers are journalists or not. But maybe because of the systems we operate, we may not hold them to a similar standard. And then we don't have a legal dispensation that is also giving guidelines or just codifying something to take care of infringements in that space, apart from provisions in the Cyber Security Act and also Data Protection Act. Mm-hmm. So these are some of the issues that the broadcasting bill will be addressed. Okay. And I'm happy to announce that the final draft is ready. We did stakeholder engagements. We've done review of it somewhere last year. Several engagements. We've taken inputs. Okay. The consultants have looked at it again. We've sent it to the Attorney General's office for advice. They have replied, and we are ready to lay. But of course, it's important to call the stakeholders back to make sure all the recommendations and the proposals that they brought were taken into consideration. Then we can approach the Communications Committee in Parliament that also has oversight responsibility over our ministry to look at the draft bill and then give us the blessing to initiate the necessary processes to lay it.
Right, okay. Minister, we are very grateful to you this afternoon.
Thank you so much for having me. Great.
Thank you.
As you are aware, before the year 2022, the methodology that was used was different. They basically used to measure government's interaction with media practitioners and journalists and the conducive environment created by governments for the media practitioners to operate.
He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer. He has labored, he has suffered to lead his people into the land of freedom. He is the Redeemer.
And thank you very much for choosing Pan-African Television and, of course, Radio Gold 90.5 FM. We're bringing you live the mother of all talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji, live from the studios, the Dr. Kwame Nkrumah studios of Pan-African Television. Today is a Saturday morning, and we are happy to be in your homes, in your cars, or however you are listening to us. I am Sena Numbo, and of course, today we're discussing three issues as always. First one, President Akufo-Addo says he wants his legacy to be protected. And the best person to protect his legacy is someone he's worked with for so long. And he's sure that person will protect his legacy. That's Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. As for John Mahama, ever since he entered into office, anything he has done, John Mahama has criticized. So he's sure that John Mahama will not protect his legacy. So Ghanaians should not vote for him. The best question I've heard all week is a question from Comrade Kwesi Prajina. Which legacy? That's the discussion we'll be having. The legacy of President Akufo-Addo that he wants protected. Of course, former President Mahama gave him a response when he said that. On his Facebook page, he posted, "Of course, I will not protect your legacy of corruption, misgovernance, arrogance, ineptitude, bankrupt economy, increased unemployment, and pushing more of our people into poverty brackets." That is his response to him. We'll be discussing that in our very first issue, and then we'll move on to the limited voter registration exercise. So far, not the best of exercises. Hasn't started so well. Not being smooth. In fact, day one was very bad. Day two, it was hope will be better. Also, has serious challenges. There's been power outages, issues with connectivity to the internet. It's gone into day three, and today is day four. Would it be better? And then the National Democratic Congress also held a press conference to make one simple demand. Give us the serial numbers to your BVRs. The EC says no. We are protecting the machines we have. In the interest of the security of those machines and the security of our elections, we cannot give you the serial numbers. We'll conclude with a cocaine bust in Belgium. A woman carried 8 kilograms of cocaine through our airport and was arrested in Belgium. The Belgian authorities were shocked, so they called our authorities and asked them, what happened? How did this happen? So far, some people have been interdicted, some workers at the airports. It is alleged that even the woman who was manning the scanner left the scanner just at the time when the lady who took the cocaine was about to go through the scanner. So there are many issues, including one being raised by Honorable Samuel Kujato Ablakwa, who's actually put out the letter of interdiction written to those workers who are currently under investigation. The letter gives them 2 thirds of their salary. So whilst they are home, they'll be paid 2 thirds of their salary over the period of their interdiction. He thinks it's not serious enough. 2 investigations being carried out, one by NACOC, we know, and then the other one being done by the Ghana Airports Authority. There are suggestions that the Ghana Airport Authority cannot investigate itself. So that will be our last issue for discussion this morning. Those are the issues we are discussing this morning. And join us in the studio to discuss those issues. Comrade Kwesi Prajina is General Secretary of the Socialist Movement of Ghana. And sitting right by him is a Deputy Women Organizer, National Women Organizer of the National Democratic Congress, Jifa Tega. Wonderful to see you this morning. Yes. Representing Afro-Franto. And then getting closer to me, lawyer Andrew Apia Dankwa is a member of the Alliance for Revolutionary Change. Yes, it's wonderful to have you. Yes, yes. As always, in his Liverpool jersey. And then sitting right to my right is Professor. Wow. Professor White. From Mende, it escaped me. Professor Kweza White. Professor Kweza White is an academic and also a politician. He, at one time, actually headed the National Service Secretariat. Prof, good morning. Good morning. Yeah. Well, so that's my panel for today. And of course, you're a big part of this show. We would like you to send in your comments, your contributions to the show via WhatsApp. You can do it via Facebook. You can do it via text message. Let us hear from you. What do you think about the issues we'll be discussing this morning? Well, let's start off with a discussion on President Akufo-Addo's legacy that he wants to protect so much, that he has to decide who takes over from him. And I usually don't do baptism of fire, but I'll start from Prof on this one. Prof, good morning.
Well, thank you very much, and good morning to your cherished viewers and listeners on Radio Gold. And of course, good morning to my panelists, colleague panelists as well. I was surprised when I heard President Akufo-Addo made the statement that President Mahama would destroy his legacy. And I think, just as you indicated, the first question that popped up in my mind was, what legacy are we talking about? Because it's been almost 8 years. One can easily recall, when we talk of legacy, we can recall what, for instance, Dr. Kwame Nkrumah did for this country. You don't need to search far. It's all moved all over the place. And the various attempts that have been made to destroy it, but has been unsuccessful. We can also recall it, the legacy of President Rawlings. We can recall it, the legacy of President Mahama as well. But it's not obvious to me what exactly President Akufo-Addo's legacy is. But even beyond that, no leader who believes he or she has done so well worries about whether what they have done will be destroyed or not. Because if those things are actually good and they are life transforming and they are in the service of the larger majority of the population, then they are steeped in time in a manner in which nobody can destroy. And this idea that President Mahama has been criticizing him ever since he took office, I'm surprised. I think that, and I think it's obvious to everybody now, that if for nothing at all, President Mahama has been the one who has been unfairly treated within the larger scope of our democracy in terms of the kinds of things that were said about him, most of which, in fact, perhaps all of which were manufactured, thrown at him in the spirit of propaganda, repeated several times, to the extent that they virtually get the public believing them. And then, of course, the decision of the public eventually was to give Akufo-Addo and his team the opportunity. Now, with hindsight, across the country, it doesn't matter where, across the regions, people are asking what exactly went wrong. And the reason they are asking that is because in the last 7 to 8 years, this country has been subjected to the most cruelest of system of governance that we have seen, from the point of view of the economy, from the point of view of governance, and so on and so forth. So what legacy are we talking about? Is it a CD moving from 3-point-something to now, I'm hearing 15, that we are talking about? That needs to be protected. Is it a mass unemployment that is confronting our young people in the country that needs to be protected? Is it the uncompleted, SHS buildings that are scattered across the country that needs to be protected? Or it is the various scandals ranging from PDS to, SML and so on and so forth that needs to be protected. So one gets a sense that it is rather the fear of the possibility of President Mahama activating the rule, not the rules, but activating or initiating actions to ensure that what went wrong is righted. That is making President Akufo-Addo make the kind of comments he's making. And I am worried, especially not only in the context of this particular comment, But his more recent comments suggesting that he will not hand over power to anybody except the person that he feels comfortable with. This is something that is relatively recent in our democratic dispensation. I mean, people run for office, they serve their term, they leave, the citizens choose who they want again. And then if you have any legacy, like I said, if it is in the interest of the people, it gets to remain. If it is not worth protecting, it fizzles out. Look at all the things that have been done to Kwame Nkrumah, from the pulling down of his statues, burning his books, and destruction of anything that is possibly Nkrumah. Yet today, across the political divide, even when they are pretending, everybody gravitate back to say he was the best. He left the best legacy for us. So I will advise President Akufo-Addo, that is, if I qualify to advise him, that he should focus on making the transition from a president in his dying years of being in office to a former president. And that would mean that he should be making a transition to a statesman whose language, posture, and appeal should cut across all the political divide, rather than, taking this rigid partisan stand or position that suggests that I'm going to hand over to my own party no matter what the case may be. He doesn't have to decide that. It is the Ghanaian people who will decide that. And my wish and prayer is that he will do nothing untoward to interfere in that particular process, because we all have a responsibility to protect the peace, safeguard our country, and protect the democracy that we have.
Thank you. Thank you, Prof. Well, that's Professor Michael Kwasawa starting off the discussion for us. I will jump right to lawyer. Lawyer.
Senator, congratulations. Last week was the beginning of the new center. Your life will never be the same. So welcome to the club, and hopefully it will be the beginning of many years of happy life together with your wife. Let me wish Prof good morning. Good morning. Pleasure to be in your company. Thank you. I can see my sister wants to make an announcement. So probably after you can call a press conference for you. But you'll be glad you are coming into our family. So we see proper change in this country. Good morning, and good morning to Mr. Pratt. Always a pleasure to be in his presence. Senator, since you give me the enviable privilege, as in this platform, Pan Africa, give me the enviable privilege of appearing on this, in my view, the best political show in this country. No topic. No topic has vexed me like this topic. In fact, it's vexed me to the extent that I haven't slept, and I'm not lying. So beyond the doom, so the fact that as in there was no light, the thought of thinking about Nanado's legacy really has vexed my soul. And I haven't slept, and I hope I can put into words what I'm really feeling inside, because it's been 7 years of unbelievable, terrible leadership. I mean, there's no better way of putting it. As in the presidency has been reduced and depraved, as in to such an extent that I don't know, as a very petty extent that I'm here, and when Arado speaks about his legacy, I'm confused. Is it the legacy that let's say Prof attempted to talk about or spoke about, or is it the legacy that has been beautifully put in the Jeopardy book? I don't know which is which. Because personally, he could have his own legacy, as in because he could have his own purpose for which he became president, and he haven't pursued that agenda. Probably when he was talking about Mahama coming to destroy his legacy, and mind you, it's only Mahama that he should be concerned about. I can bet you that should Alan Chamati become president, or anybody who loves this country for that matter, when that person becomes president, the person has no choice than to deliberately break down some of the devilish legacies Nanado has left us. You see, Paul beautifully mentioned Kwame Nkrumah. It's easy for us to mention Akosombo and this. But if there's one legacy Nkrumah left Ghana, is his ingenuity in bringing together various countries, various tribes, various cultures with various values to create that one Ghana. Where unlike other African countries where, as in, he's a Hutu, he's a Yoruba, because Nigeria and a lot of have been plagued by tribalism. But until recently, and at least I'm in my mid-40s, until recently, issues of tribalism, yes, they'll always be there, but I've never found myself in a Ghana where issues of tribalism, regionalism have come to the fore like now. Because Kwame Nkrumah created a Ghana where essentially we were Ghanaians. And to be able to do that within a generation where we had basically about 4 countries and numerous ethnic groups tells you about the mettle of the leadership of Osagyefo. You understand? In the same way, I think it's very easy and won't do a good job if we reduce an assessment of Nana Addo's legacy to, he did, what's called, he introduced free SHS, or he attempted to introduce, what's it called, 1D, 1F, or, you see, when you take the discussion at that level, you'll be doing the whole discussion a massive disservice. Because Nana Addo's legacy, as in the depth of his legacy or non-legacy, I don't know which. Because so this one, I was asking my wife that when you say legacy, must it always be positive? You know, as in when you talk about legacy, must it, because I understand legacy to be something that you've left or you've handed over. Must it always be positive? So I won't even attempt to go into that one day, because even all those issues, when you scratch the surface, what that comes clear is a fundamental lack of commitment, or should I use the word fraud, or I don't know whether I should use the word a leader who clearly didn't have a vision, a plan, a purpose for which he wanted to be president of Ghana, but for whatever reason, for his own parochial interest, felt that he needed to be the president of Ghana to pursue a certain agenda which is adverse in all forms and shapes to the interests of this country, and so maneuvered and then became president, and then he's unleashing that agenda onto Ghanaians. But in his attempts to pursue the agenda at the blank side of Ghanaians, he needs to present or attempt or pretend he's pursuing certain programs which we would think is to the interest of Ghana. One, when Nana Addo wanted to be president, he anchored his campaign on transforming the economy of Ghana. We had a lot of discussions on nuisance taxes, and found that when we became the first budget, there was a number of abolishment. Rather than they've already themselves, they ran almost all the things abolished are back, and even more. So it's like if you read the Bible, you exorcise demons from somebody, and then 70 demons go, and then in next week about 200 enter the body. That's exactly what has happened. You talk about free SHS, you understand? You talk about the fight against Galamsey. Just now, he anchored his presidency on the fight against Galamsey. You talk about Tunso. And then you also analyze all the documents, so the economic, so like when you talk about the energy, for instance, the energy sector recovery program, beautiful document. You talk about the economy, the medium-term economy program, as in the Upper Tampa and creating jobs and prosperity. You talk about decentralization and another program held on decentralization, and yet none of all these beautiful things written, for which we spent Ghana's taxpayers' money to mobilize experts to put together those documents. Not even one of them has been done. Because can you say that we have a decentralized system? We do not. Can you say that the economy is transformed? Because you take a fantastic policy like the 1D, 1F. Just by the amount of money government Nana Addo decided to put into that policy, it tells that he was not committed to the 1D, 1F. Because if you are really committed to 1D, 1F, how can you justify spending 400 million Ghana cedis, no dollar, on 1D, 1F and about 1.5 billion on NAPCO? You understand? So clearly it tells me that this is a person or a man who really told us things to represent something. Yes, and really had no commitment whatsoever to bring about proper transformation. You get a picture. Then, you see, we pride ourselves as a very united country. And so what it means is that, and I think Prof said it perfectly, about once you become a president, you need to realize that you are not president over your political party. You are president over the entire country. And your duty, and I am using the word, your duty, your obligation is not to your political party. Your obligation is to every single Ghanaian. And I'm using the word duty here deliberately. Because I was telling a friend that, you see, the reason why you take care of your children is not because you love them. The reason why you take care of your children is because you have a duty to take care of them. You have an obligation. Now, and see, and that duty, you must not only do that duty, but you must be seen and perceived to be doing that duty. So where you have a president, it's the president of the country, who does not have any qualms going around the country, telling in the midst of this shambolic leadership and lack of development in our country, has no qualms, indeed has the cockroach audacity to look into the eyes of people and tell them that, I did not bring the development here because you did not vote for my MP. You understand? And he hasn't done it once. It's like he isn't learning. You do it at a confee. You go to Mepe when, as in your citizens, people, your compatriots, I haven't said your compatriots, you understand, are plagued by devastating floods. And first of all, you go there late. There's no proper relief system for them. And you go and tell them that you were not even supposed to be there because they didn't vote for you. You go to Adreso. You tell Adreso people that, listen, in the upcoming election, if they don't vote for you, you are showing them that no MP who is not from a party can lobby you to bring development to Adreso. You did this in Asen North. Then, Mr. President, are you not dividing us? Are you not dividing us as a people, as a country? You understand? You take Galamsey. You take the evil that has been done to our environment. He's talking about legacy. Yeah? So you just go to the gold areas, to Western region, Ashanti region, and the color of the water bodies. And the color of that tells a little story. Because the major story is that people are drinking cyanide infested waters, mercury laden waters. People are going to die early because of the chemicals in their water bodies. Indeed, already we are seeing the impact on cocoa. Because if I talk about one of the price of this country, it's not just gold, but the fact that we for a very long time been one of the leading producers of cocoa, and not just in cocoa, premium cocoa. And because of the president's lack of responsibility, sense of responsibility, you understand, and the extent to which he's failed to give leadership, honest leadership, in his handling of his duty as a trustee. Because you see, when the Constitution created in the president a trust, well, there are so many duties that the Constitution gave the president. But there's a reason why, when it came to the natural resources of this country and the environment of this country, the Constitution thought that it needed to create in the president a trust as the biggest kind of obligation or job duty that can be given you. And he flunked it. He deliberately flunked it. Show no commitment. When your minister of environment has done a report, you hide that report for close to a year. Absolutely no commitment. And he's talking about legacy. He's talking about legacy here. Senna, that's why I'm asking the question. When Nanado was talking about the legacy, which legacy was he really speaking about? Which legacy was he really speaking about? Because the breakdown in law and order in this country, and it began from the very first year of his term. The very first year of his term, when people in his party felt that they had the power to go and haul an appointee of the president from office, indeed felt that they could haul a judge or prevent justice from being dispensed. Is that a legacy or a non-legacy? You see, for me, we have seen clearly a president who I'm convinced beyond all shade of doubt that his commitment, the purpose for which he wanted to become president and has become president, was not because he felt that he could add anything of value to the lives of the people of Ghana. Because you take the economy, you take the fact that because of his bad leadership, Ghana as a country has lost all credibility when it comes to our bonds. Because, and you see, and the backbone of every economy, Senna, is trust. The trust people have in you, the government. Because you see, all our lives, we've been led to believe that the most securest bonds you can ever have is government bonds. All our lives. So where under your watch you've watched, or your actions, your policies has ensured that government bonds has lost all credibility, then you've practically tanked the Ghanaian economy. You've practically tanked the Ghanaian economy. He's talking about transforming the economy and practically no credible support system to our small and medium scale enterprises. Now, all these things I'm speaking about are just a fraction of the non-legacy of Nana Akufo-Addo. I think the biggest evil he's meted out is the kind of political culture that his leadership has forged in this country. That's the biggest problem he's left us. That's the biggest problem he's left us. Because you see, you can't talk about Nana Akufo-Addo's legacy without also talking about his practical destruction of the New Patriotic Party as a political institution. Because you see, he's destroyed the character of the party, the idea of the idea for which reason the party was formed, the purpose for which the party was formed. So you see, you can just do, and this one, just take the MPP's constitution. Look at their aims and objectives. The aims and objectives of the New Patriotic Party. Because if you mind you, political parties, a very critical part of our political institutions, beyond they wanting to empower, have a role to play in creating the right political culture that will best safeguard all of our interests. So where you have a president who destroys the institution in terms of its character, its ideals, its purpose, there is weakening one of the anchors of the constitutional democracy we took upon ourselves. Now, because of his disregard for principle, for ideas, because for him he sees a political party as just a vehicle to use to a certain end. That's why somebody who claims to be a believer in democracy, the tenets of democracy, has no qualms when he's become president of Ghana in appointing people from his political party into institutions that we demand neutrality from. And where you are president of Ghana, it is your duty to protect the integrity of those institutions. Because you are not only a leader of your party, you are the president, the leader of Ghana. So you have a president who's appointed, and who's appointed people who are known to be MPP members into the AC. The fact that the MPP party itself did not oppose those actions of the president, because there's this culture in Ghana which seems to dictate that where a leader or a president, it comes from a party that you sponsored, you must defend every single act that that person does. But you have, you yourself as a political party, you have your objects. You understand? And very central to your objects as a political party is to see the overall growth of constitutional democracy in this Ghana. You go and check the MPP's constitution, and that object is there. But because the president, as leader of the party, first of all, weakened the party, party people did not see the sense in opposing the president when he took steps that essentially weakened what's it called, the democracy we have in this country. That legacy, and so all these devilish legacies legacies of destroying the very character, ideal, political culture. Because he's the fifth president of Ghana. I can say in all sincerity, me myself, I didn't vote for J.J. Rawlings. I voted for, as I voted in 2000, I voted for President Kufuor. You understand? But J.J. Rawlings, we've had situations where people who are leaders have led this country. No leader is perfect. You understand? So we've had people who are genuine, who are leaders, who make genuine mistakes, who obviously it is partisan politics, so they will have their own issues. But our fifth president is somebody who is not a leader, who wanted to be president, but is not a leader. You understand? So he doesn't seem to understand the burden on him as the leader of Ghana. He still thinks like he is a mere partisan person. But you are the president of Ghana. You are the leader of Ghana. He sees leadership as positional. So he has no, as in law, there's something you say, you can't give what you do not have. So the problem we're having, and the reason why we have this devilish legacy, which at all costs must be destroyed. Because we must take the qualities as a people to attend this negative political culture he's created. See, when you have people like the road minister, also has the qualms to repeat what the president said, that no independent candidate, so essentially nobody who is not from a party can come and lobby me to fulfill my obligation to the citizens of Ghana. Because we just didn't give you power. There's a reason why we all give you power. We give you power to serve. Yeah, you understand? So, Senna, Nana has led a very terrible legacy. But I think if I want to be positive, then the positive legacy he's left us is to show us clearly what can befall all of us when we vote for somebody who has no business being in leadership, who doesn't understand the fundamental tenets of leadership, who doesn't understand that to serve is to give of yourself and not to take. You understand? And he doesn't understand it because he's not a leader. You understand? There's a statement that those of you who watch Game of Thrones said, and I can't quote it, but that where a king goes around telling everybody that I am a king, then he's no king at all. So when you have a president who does not miss a chance to tell everybody who the president of Ghana is, because he's no leader. And that's why he does not understand that to lead is to serve. And that's why he can look into the eyes of our chiefs and insult our local authority institution like he's done. An institution that our constitution felt the need to even to guarantee it in a, and see a chief and tell him and point to him that who should get up between the two of us. But he's not a leader. But I'm saying that there's a positive. And the positive is that right now we have a clear evidence of what a non-leader can do to our country, to every aspect of our country, be it the environment, be it the economics, be it the culture in our country, be it law and order. There is a situation where people can kill, a military man can kill, people can kill a military man in the police, in front of the police station, and nothing, where right now there's an issue going between IOCO, Office of the Special Prosecution and Police, in respect of a certain once he said a public cause. The president already prejudiced their investigation with that unnecessary letter he wrote. And so right now IOCO, it's like clearly they are so confused as to how to hide or protect somebody who's clearly violated the laws of this land, who is also depraving public office. Because beyond everything, your duty is also to set a very high bar. You understand? So right now, Ghanaians, we know what can befall our country in all forms and shapes. In terms of the moral and the spirit of this country, where we vote for a non-leader, where we vote for somebody whose purpose for why he wanted the presidency was not to serve our country, but to advance a certain personal agenda. An agenda which clearly is in a certain book, Japadier, which strangely, almost everything in that book is being unraveled in front of us day in, day out. So I'm very convinced that the legacy Nana is talking about It's not the legacy we think we are all talking about, but it's the legacy in the Ijapade book. The fact that he's managed to capture the party, MPP party right now, to use them for whatever he wishes, he and his successors. And an attempt to also capture the country. Already that's the legacy he's talking about. It is the duty of all Ghanaians. If we love our country, because for me, he's waging a war against Ghana. Because if anybody advances an agenda which is adverse to the agenda of this country, which is adverse to the interest, the collective interest of the people of Ghana, then really what he's doing is to wage a war against the country. And it is the duty of every Ghanaian, irrespective of your tribe, irrespective of your ethnic group, irrespective of your political party, to stand and defend the integrity of this country. And we will defend that integrity if we ensure that these very negative and adverse legacies of Nana Akufo-Addo are destroyed, and we create a system where there will be no chance, no opportunity for anybody at all to meet unto us what he's done to us. Because, trust me, it will take us a very long time to come out of the hole he's dug for us. He's created a big problem for whoever becomes the next president of this country. Already, where are you going to even get the money to advance your own programs? Two, he's created a system where the people of this country themselves have lost so much faith in leadership, in political leadership. Yeah, you understand? Now, for our democracy to work, you need the people to believe in the ability of this our constitutional democracy to deliver on its promises. And otherwise, he's destroyed the environment. Right now, but right now, people's lives are at risk because we have somebody whose interest, whose agenda, whose purpose was not really to advance a program that will protect all of our interests. You understand? So he thinks his problem is Mahama. His problem isn't Mahama. His problem is the common man on the streets of Jolu, the common man in Kejetia, the common man in Paga, the people across the length and breadth of this country. We are his problem, because it is our duty, for me, it's our duty to ensure that this legacy does not stand. And it won't stand. Because nobody can think that he's more Ghanaian or he owns Ghana. And because of it, he used the power that we have given him to create some royal family. It is not going to happen. It ain't happening. So I'll call on Ghanaians that 2024 is not like any other election. What we are faced with and allow me to use that word, the enemy we are faced with. Because having done all this, he said that his next job, and he said this almost more than a year, sometime last year in August, he said it clearly, that he can't solve our problems. So then why didn't he resign? Then he added that the job that he has left to do is to ensure that His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia becomes the next president of Ghana. I'd have had no issues with it if Dr. Bawumia had some special leadership skill. I'd have had no issue with it if Dr. Bawumia has some fantastic credibility. But you are talking about somebody who I can only compare to what we call Abuzam Samna. I don't know if you know Abuzam Samna. What you call don't touch him. And you know clearly this man does not have what it takes to lead this country. I mean, he doesn't see like some kid. You understand? This man who clearly, as in one of his said what, he ensured that the natural resources of Ghana are 100% owned by Ghana. Why do we not own 100% the mineral resources in this country? So clearly when somebody says giving the presidency and that you make sure we own 100%, he doesn't even understand what he's talking about. He doesn't even understand the regime here. Somebody who clearly in his own statement said that he was tasked to transform the economy of this country. And what did he do? He even tanked the economy more. Somebody who said that you can do all the propaganda you want. If the exchange rate, right now the exchange rate is almost 15. What moral justification can you have to have somebody like him as president? But no, he's the only person he believes can protect and perpetuate this devilish agenda against our country. And it is our collective duty as Ghanaians to ensure that that legacy sees no light of day by ensuring that His Excellency Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia does not become the president of Ghana. And that instead, the person who has put forward a comprehensive program, a program that will ultimately, first of all, whose focus is to bring together all Ghanaians, insofar as your commitment is towards the interest of this country. It doesn't matter your tribe, It doesn't matter your political party. Once you have a commitment in seeing a better Ghana, then you have a room in its leadership. And beyond that, creating that unity and a nation of one people has also advanced a comprehensive program which will ultimately lead to the transformation of our economy. Transform agriculture, transform industry. You understand? That person is Honorable Alan Jongoju Chemantin. Let us draw support behind him, and I can show you that that legacy will be destroyed. So it's not just John Mahama. It's not just John Mahama who is his problem. Alan is his problem. I am his problem. I'm sure Prof is your problem. I'm sure it's your problem. My sister soon to be coming after Santo. I'm sure you are his problem. Every single person who loves this country is a problem to Nana Addo because his legacy won't stand. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Lawyer Andrew Appiah Dankwa. So we are discussing President Akufo-Addo's suggestion that if you vote for former President Mahama, he would destroy his legacy. The person he prefers is Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Question is which legacy? Anyway, a few messages from me before I go to Jafar. Tafai Namaria says, in fact, I will be most happy if I see President Mahama destroy President Akufo-Addo's legacy. Because if any leader allows Akufo-Addo's legacy to stay, then Ghana will go down the drain. Because his legacy will never move this country forward. His legacy is full of incompetence, corruption, nepotism, broad daylight, thievery by government officials, and showing arrogance of power. Nana does not have any good legacy, therefore he should just go before he destroys everything. And thank you very much. There's also this one says, Senna, I want to thank Alan for breaking away from the MPP to bring out the real men in his followers, like Lawyer. There's also Vision from Tamale, who says, good morning to you and the panelists. The MPP have completely been defeated by anything they promise to Ghanaians. And so for them to think of legacies is an absolute frustration. This particular party called New Patriotic Party in actuality, New Problems Party in reality, because they never have the country at heart at all. What they think is how they can milk the state to enrich themselves. 2024 polls will determine the number of patriotic citizens we have in Ghana. Thank you very much for sending that message. Mystic from Gomoa West says, if we cannot still see that this country is in a terrible doom and we have no time to waste but to rescue her, then we are nothing but living dead. Vampires have engulfed this country, and the earlier we terminate the activities, the better it will be for us. Thank you, Mystic, for that message. There's Seidu John Paul, who says, Nana Addo must prepare, make ready his handing over notes, because he will soon be sent out with his Bawumia. They have long played with our destinies, left to no legacy but for him to sink millions of dollars into a hole in the name of building a cathedral for Jesus and sleeping in the public. I strongly believe that GM will lead Ghana again as president, for posterity has done the campaign for him, bringing him to a spotlight his good works for the many Ghanaians who thought he was a devil and misunderstood him. Hashtag Ghana deserves better. Hashtag Ghana must be saved. Thank you very much for that message. Some more. This one is from Salam Ben Nuhu, Combat, inside of Insu South, who says, what legacy is President Akufo-Addo talking about? The PDS scandal, a Japan scandal, Australia visa scandal. The economy has built within 18 months in office, or the rampant corruption relating to his family and friends. The well-orchestrated propaganda against GM worked in 2016 and 2020. The strategy had long expired and won't work today. The smear campaign and character assassination will fly. This is 2024. Okay. Thank you very much for that message. This one is Senna. President Nana Addo has succeeded in turning the Jubilee House into a paramount chief's palace. So do you think GM will be prepared to preserve such a bad legacy when voted to power? Of course, no. Some more. This is also from Daniel Akpaliok from Sandema, who says, at a time when Ghanaians are faced with unprecedented economic crisis and excruciating suffering as a result of the recklessness, sheer incompetence, and unparalleled misgovernance of Akufo-Addo-led administration, the least Akufo-Addo can do is to show some level of remorsefulness and apologize to Ghanaians. It is insulting and irritating for anyone to hear Akufo-Addo talking about JDM destroying his legacy. As far as I'm concerned, Akufo-Addo's only legacy is a skyrocketing increase in fuel prices, free fall of the cedi, subsidy, galloping inflation, haircuts, and abject failure in managing the economy. You're still watching the Mother of All talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji, live on Pan-African Television. We're broadcasting live from the Dr. Kwame Nkrumah studio of Pan-African Television. We're also live on Radio Gold, many other affiliates across the country. A big thank you to our partners, our partner radio stations all across Ghana. Jifa.
Sana, good morning once again to my fellow panelists and to you, latest husband in town. So while you were reading the messages, I was chit-chatting with my Afafanto brother here. And I want him to know that I cannot join Afafanto, unfortunately, because I belong to a party that is overly competent and can take the mantle ahead. So I would rather advise him, since he really has Ghana at heart, to come and join hands with us so that we do what is necessary for Ghana. Because the idea is that both of us have the same goal, you know, transforming Ghana into a better place. So come and join the many of us, rather than wasting your time as the few of you guys. I also share in my brother's sentiment when I say that I'm outraged. You know, sometimes you hear certain things and you can let go, and then there are things you hear and like, what food did he eat to make him talk like that? Or where did he sleep? You know, in our local settings, you did not sleep on a pillow, because sometimes you say things that becomes a shocker for people to hear, that this man, despite everything that is going on in this country, will talk about legacy. However, you also have to understand that, well, there are negative and positive legacies. Somebody can be ruthless. There are certain countries that had ruthless dictators, and there was a certain legacy that they are still living. It's all about asking what exactly legacy means. So it's someone's impact, contribution towards a society that may have made an impact to a people or an individual, whether negative or positive. But I beg to differ, and I stand to be corrected by Akufo-Addo himself to tell me whether he didn't mean positive. I know that he didn't mean positive. I want to assume that he meant negative, but I think all of us on this panel, including you, will agree that he probably meant a positive legacy that he has left behind. You see, my pain is that there are a lot of things, there are some weak minds who still have a certain problem with my flag bearer and former President JM, that he is too blunt. He will say the truth as it is and really doesn't care to sugarcoat issues. And that is what he has been. I think that is a very clear, a clear example is how he has replied the current president now. Now you ask me that, what is the whole implication of this legacy issue? Is that I have done good, and somebody will come in and push it away. Now I have to tell you that when the issues of free SHS came up, there was a whole year that people were saying NDC will come to collapse free SHS when we come to power, because everybody knows that we are coming to power. JM came out, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama came out boldly and said that no, this is a baby of 2016-2015 that was spearheaded by the current running mate of the flag bearer, Professor Jena Opoku-Agyeman. It is something I have believed in. I said it was going to be progressive, looking at the state of the country, our resources, and who needs it as to who doesn't need it. It's going to be progressive. So this is a baby I believed in. I am not coming to destroy it. At the time, as blunt as he is, he told you that this is something I will protect and even improve upon when I come to power. So it is not news that he would decide that he's going to continue something. Look, when we took over, NDC took over from Kufuor, I can tell you how steadily we protected the free health insurance scheme. Because for goodness sakes, one thing that NDC believes in is in pushing our people forward, making sure that what is good for our people is what stands. You remember when in somewhere 2003, this major N1 road had freshly been constructed. It had started during Kufuor's time. And that day, historically, our president at the time, that was Professor John Ivan Satamels, called on John Adjei Kufuor to come so that they how do we cut the sword? Yes, they inaugurate the road or whatever it is called together, to commission the road together. It was historic because there are presidents who are so petty, they won't think of that. But he was like, no, let's do it together. Today we have several projects in Accra and Ghana, like the Kumasi Airport, like the Terminal 3 Airport, that, in fact, like the Legon Hospital, the UG Hospital, that were commissioned and, you know, brought up by JM out of pettiness. They don't even want the public to hear that it's being operated. You remember during COVID, people were sneaking in to be treated. When Terminal 3 was opened, it had to be used, and they were like, no, we'll investigate because the money doesn't add up. Tomorrow, or should I say in June, I hear the Kumasi Airport will be opened. Let's see what will happen. I'm telling all this because JM is a man that believes that, look, when you start it and it is good, I will continue. I will not destroy whatever legacy you are talking about, if it is good. Now you come back and then ask, what legacy is Akufo-Addo talking about? Because I'm talking about my flag bearer's response, that I will not protect these fraudulent deals that you have done, that I will not protect these criminal acts of your government, that I will not protect these insensitive ideas and plans that you have been putting in place since 2016 December till date. You ask yourself, which are the fraudulent ones? PDS scandal that we screamed about and said that this deal is wrong. This deal is wrong. They went ahead with it and eventually they realized that no, we can't keep up with it with a straight face. And they had to pull it back. A fraudulent deal like the National Cathedral, any sensible human being who has the country at heart, and I am a Christian, a lot of people are Christians, whether I am a staunch Christian or not, if it is bad, it is bad. Whether it was a mosque or it was a church, whatever it is, breaking down government bungalows that millions have been spent on, millions of taxpayers' money, breaking down government bungalows to dig a hole and spend millions of dollars wasted on just a hole. These are the legacies that he's talking about. Our government, when we come to power, is not going to support this National Cathedral. And really, we do not care about anybody who thinks otherwise, because I believe that anybody who has the country at heart knows that churches are in abundance in Ghana. If not for anything at all, churches are even more than factories in Ghana here. And so the last thing that we may need right now is a cathedral. Because if we want to meet as a nation, we can really go and settle any of the Dag Heward Mills and Duncan Williams Cathedral, and they would willingly let us have it if we need to. These are the fraudulent deals that he is talking about. We are talking about legacies of protecting and stealing the government lands that NDC have over the years protected, like the lands in airports, several strategic places, the lands in cantonments that have been illegally and ridiculously sold off cheap to individuals who are selfish and motivated by greed. That is the legacy Akufo-Addo is scared that Mahama won't protect. That government bungalows in northern region and several parts are being sold off as cheap as 5,000 Ghana cedis per bungalow. Ridiculously auctioned. This is the legacy that Akufo-Addo is scared that my flag bearer won't protect when he comes to power. That criminals like Cecilia Dapa are being protected openly and defended by the government. Criminals like Cecilia Dapa. Well, let me, for the safety of Pan-African TV, that people who are assumed alleged criminals like Cecilia Dapa, I think that is accepted by law. But we all know what is the truth. And I'm glad to say that some of the things that I utter here, even if I not say it, or should I say I sugarcoat it, or should I say suppress the tone, people know in their hearts that this is what's going on. This is the legacy that Akufo-Addo is scared that my president is not going to protect. It's unfortunate that you look at several of these deals and then you wonder, what is the country going into? Because the mere presence of Baumia on the ballot sheet on December 2024 and his interest in contesting is because there's a cabal in NPP who want to protect the criminal activities that are laid down, that they know that once JM comes to power, is going to uproot all these, investigate and prosecute them. Bawumia's presence as flag bearer of the NPP today is to protect thievery, is to protect theft, is to protect criminal activities that would have been or will be prosecuted when NDC comes to power. It is not going to be possible. Senna, it is unfortunate and it's never going to be possible that we go into the next government thinking that anybody whatsoever is going to protect Akufo-Addo. We are looking at legacies of lies when you come out and tell us that Dumso has been solved. There is no problem again. Any problem that comes up is a local problem. A whole president comes out to make such a statement. When my brother here couldn't sleep this night because apparently he was in Dumso throughout. Still Dumso. Looking at the fact that this Dumso crisis that we are experiencing is as a result of negligence towards the power sector. Because it has been established that every government that comes into power has to make a very significant contribution into the power sector so that it doesn't accumulate and then falls down on us. This is the kind of legacy he's talking about. Legacy of uncontrollable borrowing. Legacy of taxing and taxing and taxing everything. Legacy of basically squeezing Ghanaians dry. Because when you listen to how there was e-levy, there is e-levy, you listen to how we have borrowed and we have nothing else to borrow, and people even attempt deals like Ejapa just to drain us and milk us of everything, to the extent that the little royalties that we have, everything that we look around and we can touch, we are either selling or putting down as mortgage to get money. And looting and sharing. Legacy of stealing and opening huge companies and suppressing people. Legacy of suppressing media agents or the media, where we've had journalists that have died. Nothing has been done about it. We have people that have died wrongfully in elections. Nothing has even been said about it. Legacy of insensitivity. Senna, it is terrible. It is really pathetic. And then I can say that as an NDC, and as somebody from this party, I can't be any less proud of what my flag bearer has said or how he has replied to Akufo-Addo. That it is so pathetic that he will stand there, and as blunt as he always is, he is never going to tell anyone that, oh, I will manage or I'll see to as to what I can do. No, this is a legacy of lies through and through, a legacy of suffering. And I won't protect it. I have said it. And the true man or the sincere man will know that we need such a leader. A leader who will say it right into your face and won't sugarcoat issues. A leader who will tell you, be prepared for hard times are coming for you. For all the suffering that you have caused Ghanaians, you will face and be accountable to everything. That is when our running mates during her outdooring, our running mates to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, during her outdooring said that everyone will be held accountable. And it is not a threat, it is a promise. A threat can always be changed. A threat can be something you are saying just to, push or pull a certain action from somebody. A promise is something that is intended to happen, and it will happen. And we have people who have said, maybe out of pain, but have seriously said, like Kennedy Japan of the NPP, that on the day that NDC comes to power and John Dramani Mahama is sworn as president of the Republic of Ghana, when we are ready to prosecute and go after all those that have looted government money, he will point fingers. Because he can see, and he sees all the things that he never imagined his party would do. He will gladly point fingers to those who have stolen precious government lands, those who have dealt in illegal dealings, those who have dealt in unreasonable, fraudulent deals in this government. He will point hands. And I know that he is not the only one. He is one of the bold ones that will say it now. There are a lot of other people who will do it. But I must say that if Akufo-Addo is looking at who will cover his back is bare. His back is bare. And he should only get prepared. There are a lot of things that we've heard. Then you will tell me that I do not have evidence right here in my hands. So for the sake and safety of Pan-African TV, I do not allege it or, voice it out. But we talk in private. We know what they are doing. There are some people who were not scared to die in 2016, but are scared to die now because of the amount of monies in their bedrooms and in their bank accounts. There are people who are now looking for ways and means to transfer money from Ghana into their offshore accounts. We know those are the people. We know people who can now, apart from Cecilia Dapa, provide millions of dollars right and ready in their bedrooms. We know people like that. We know people who did not even know, who have not even held a single government job before, not even a government job, have not operated any business before, and are seated on millions because of fraudulent deals. And this is the legacy Akufo-Addo is expecting JM to protect. We are looking, somebody said something, a brother of mine said something, that Akufo-Addo can never compare himself to JM. Yes, because you look everywhere, including Accra, including Northern region, including the middle part of Ghana, and you will see evidence of the work JM has done. You don't need a child to tell you. You do not need a communicator to voice it out. You see it all around. You see it in your marketplaces, in your hospitals. When in Ghana, for the first time, people enjoyed luxury service in hospitals. When we know that hospitals have very deplorable states. But today, University of Ghana, from structure, from architecture, to the facilities inside, is providing world-class facilities. This is a man that has vision. He says, my country is not a rich country or a developed country. However, we deserve some of these things so that we do not keep running outside the country. Today, we have millions of people that have quadrupled, that are finding, they are trying to make way outside of this country to everywhere. To the US, to the UK, to Canada. Recently, there was a pastor, Pastor Kofi Oduro, who mentioned that one of his church members was asking him to thank God and also request God to help him gain papers to stay in a country, the right papers to stay in a country. He asked which country. The person said Gambia. Gambia. Somebody wants to be in any country than Ghana, so he's in Gambia. And he's thanking God and asking God to help him get the right documents, to stay legally in that country, and also to manage his business in that country. Ghana is at a state where there are people who would prefer to be in Gambia than Ghana. That is the country we are living in. The few people who are here are being tied down by either family or something else, or probably just the mere discomfort of being in another country alone. Sana, it is no joke. So what legacy do we have to protect? The man that I know, John Dramani Mahama, who is as plain and really a visionary man, will not and never, as he has said, protect any fraudulent legacy, a legacy of suffering. No, he's rather come to liberate us, as he has done before. He's rather come to show us the path, as he has done before. And just as he's somebody who is plain and always as brutal and blunt as possible, he has said that I will not be a president of promises and fake promises like Akufo-Addo. I won't be that. Rather, I'll be a president who will tell you and be accountable to you. Ask me, I'll answer. Unlike this government, who will not answer, even in our bare faces. That is what he has done. And he has said that in his first few years, clearly it will not be easy. A president who is in opposition now, a future president who is in opposition now, who has clearly said that his first 100 days or first year won't be easy because of the deplorable state that Ghana is in. Is this person not a truthful person? Is this person not somebody that you can actually depend on? Because he's not going to tell you that in the first 100 days, Ghana will be the cleanest city ever. Like Bawumia and Akufo-Addo said, in the first 100 days, I'm going to transform Ghana into a paperless economy. In the first 100 days, you are going to use your Ghana card to travel outside the country. And your Ghana card is going to provide everything for you. No, he won't sugarcoat words. Neither would he lie. Neither is he going to put together so many things that are going to deceive Ghanaians. He's going to be blunt, and he will do the job as he has done before. We are not testing this man. We are giving him a second chance. And the second chance is only for him to continue, not for him to start afresh. Because he has done it before, and he will do it again. And before I end, Senna, I have to emphasize on the fact that there is a strong cabal in NPP that has made sure that Bawumia is the flag bearer of NPP. And it is only to protect the horrible and deplorable legacy of Akufo-Addo and to cover up all their schemes, because they are shivering in fear at the possibilities of what can happen when JM, not if, when JM becomes the president of Ghana come 2024 December. And so it's something that I want Ghanaians to envision, to understand, that this mate has nothing to offer. As when all blame came, he pushed it on his driver and now says that I saw on the last note, I saw that he went to the Techiman or something and they gave him a plastic steer. And then I told my driver, this is the only steer he deserves in his life and this is the only steer he will get. That plastic wretched steer or whatever significance it meant, that is the only steering wheel that Baumia deserves in life. And that is the only steering wheel that he will get from Ghanaians. And so he should hold on to it well, probably put it by his bed when he's sleeping, because that is the only thing he will get. Thank you very much.
Thank you. But there was someone who was even asking that he was just going to ask me, where is Jifa? Then he heard me introduce you. But when we do attention to something you've said, it's not only to protect us, but to protect you too. Because they have to attack you first before they attack us. So it's important that we draw your attention to it. Well, if you just join us, the mother of all talk shows, Alhaji and Alhaji. This is from Professor Yanka in Cape Coast, who says, Akpafuado, you suffer before you eat. The ever rendition of Akpafuado is getting jittery by the day with every passing revelation of the ills of his misrule. This is what is making him to reveal his real preoccupations in his recent reckless pronouncement. I'm not really sure that senility is the reason, as some seek to portray. This pronouncement projects the evil machinations that have been hatched in his brain over time. And then let me read Dr. Akofa Segbefia, who also says, I believe that the parties demanding serial numbers of EC's BVDs have a case. If I post anything on the internet, the origin can be traced to me through the serial number of my phone or my computer. Now, in the case of our Electoral Commission, if strange data is transmitted, which is doubt, the serial number of the originating machine will show if it's from EC or rogue BVD. We'll come to that discussion. Come here, Pratt.
Well, I like to note that public commentators over the last week have sanitized the statement made by President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. Because they've reduced it to whether or not he has a legacy and whether or not that legacy should be protected. If you focus on attention on his legacy and whether or not his legacy should be protected, you actually sanitize what he said. Because what he said clearly is that I'm not going to hand over if the people of Ghana do not elect the person I want. And that's very clear. Now, what are the implications of that? He is actually looking us in the face and saying that to hell with the 1992 Constitution. That the Constitution means absolutely nothing. That I am not a Democrat and I do not believe in the democratic process. To the extent that the democratic process does not deliver what I want, let the democratic process go to hell. You understand? So even though he talks about his legacy and the need to protect his legacy and so on, the most essential part of his statement is that he will violate the Constitution, he will abuse the electoral process, he will do whatever it takes to ensure that he retains power. Now, I don't think also that we need to take this statement in isolation. We need to couple this statement with other things that have happened, other statements, other practices, you know, and so on, and other actions which have been taken. So here's the president who says, I'm not going to hand over to somebody that I believe would not protect my legacy, okay? Then there's Lord Comey, who has also come to tell us in plain language that they will not hand over, that they will do whatever it takes to retain power, okay? And it doesn't end there. It doesn't end there at all. Okay? We are seeing, in real practical terms, measures being taken to ensure that no matter what happens, the government stays in power. One, the MPP parliamentary primaries in Yendi. We all saw an EC official declare publicly his allegiance to the New Patriotic Party. Is that not worrying? Add that to the statements, and it gives you a very worrying picture. It does not end there. A commissioner of the EC publicly declares that the National Democratic Congress is subversive of democracy. What does that tell you? If a commissioner actually believes that the National Democratic Congress is subversive of democracy, why would that commissioner not act in ways to prevent the National Democratic Congress from coming to power? I think it's important that we take note of these things. Then we have the case of a card-bearing propagandist of the New Patriotic Party who has publicly declared that he will do everything and anything possible to prevent the National Democratic Congress from coming to power, being appointed a commissioner. Are we not worried? We should be worried, okay? I know we're going to discuss the ongoing voter registration exercise. But what does that tell you? You go to Norton, check. Most of the machines which are deployed there are defective. Why Norton? Why Norton? Why not Bantama? Did you hear of defective machines in Bantama and so on? So we should be really worried, okay? And there's a lot more that is exceedingly worrying. I mean, you look at the voter registration exercise, and I saw a horrifying video, absolutely horrifying video. Voter machines are not working, and a commissioner stands over the voter machines and prays to God for the machines to work. What? We will come to discuss that. But you see, this is the only place where people lobby for positions, they are given the positions, and then they call on God to come and do their work for them. If God was going to repair machines and make the machines work and so on, why did she go for the appointment? I mean, clear case of irresponsibility. And our part of the world, when we display this gross irresponsibility under the cloak of Christianity, we ignore it. You have been appointed to do a job. If God is a mechanic and can repair machines and so on, well, why were you given the job? Why do you take salary at the end of the month? So we have built a country in which when we have insufficient power supply, all kinds of characters in Kasok move to a Kosovo and pray over the dam. When election machines are not working, they pray for the machines to resurrect and work. And so, that's the country we have built. I feel very sad. You see, take all election results from 1992, and you do that exercise yourself. You will find that in every election in this country, every election since 1992, there have been cases of overvoting. Every election, cases of overvoting. You would at least find 1, 2, 3 polling stations where those who actually cast their ballots exceed the number of registered voters. And this is rigging, isn't it? Rigging, that there's no other way of calling it, it's rigging. The courts have determined that what has been found in the past is not sufficient evidence which should lead to the annulment of election results. That's what the courts have determined. Maybe they're right, I don't know. But the point is that rigging in any election is a serious matter that we need to look at seriously. Yes, you may not have cases, too many cases, of actual voters exceeding registered voters. But that may just be because in other places, the rigging was more carefully done, more sensibly done. So the rigging may not have occurred in only those polling stations where there's this excess and so on. So here is the signals we are getting, and the president is confirming that. I think it's important to draw the president's attention to the fact that he has no locus whatsoever when it comes to determining who should govern this country. That power is reserved for the electorate, not him. This country does not belong to him. He cannot make those decisions. He has no power to make those decisions. So at best, he's engaged in grape talking. Just grape talking. He has no such authority. He cannot. Now, the 1992 Constitution is an interesting document, and it provides a remedy for those who subvert the will of the people. The remedy is there. I don't want to repeat it. That remedy is so huge, so ghastly, that I don't even want to repeat it. So those who want to subvert election results, those who are claiming that they will not hand over power and so on, they should go and read the 1992 Constitution again. Because it tells us what we should do to them if they subvert the Constitution. The language is clear. If we subvert the Constitution, it becomes lawful to do some things to you. So they should not joke. This is not me talking, it's the Constitution which is talking. The Constitution says clearly that anybody who subverts the will of the people, we have to do the do. You understand what I mean? So they should be extremely careful. In fact, you don't even have to subvert the will of the people before what the Constitution prescribes is done to you. Look, only recently, there was the coup d'etat which was described as the Catalyst coup and so on, involving Mark Palm. You remember? And the courts decided what punishment to give to them, even though they did not attempt the coup. They only dreamt and talked about it. You saw what the courts decided should be done to them. Indeed, 3 days ago, Second Lieutenant Osepoku died. I hope you remember Second Lieutenant Osepoku, who together with Lieutenant S.B. Atta and others tried to overthrow a military government. Not a government elected by the people, but a military government. And you know what happened to them? Okay? So, those who pray for long life should do things which allow them to have long life. If you pray for long life, you don't tamper with the Constitution. if you pray for long life, you don't subvert the will of the people, because the consequences are dire. As for the legacy argument, my brother, legacy. I've been listening to Professor White, and he's spoken eloquently about the legacy of the Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah. I mean, there's nobody who has ever ruled this country before who has left such a legacy. Towering legacy. When I talk to my friends who say they are Nkrumahs and CPPs and so on, they are always mentioning Akosombo Dam, Job 600, factories and so on. The legacy, the true legacy of Nkrumah is not the Akosombo Dam. The true legacy of Nkrumah is not the Accra motorway. It is that vision, that idea and organizational capability which enabled him to do those things. They are enduring. Accra motorway has developed potholes. Very soon it may not exist. Okay? The Central Intelligence Agency of the United States of America, as part of its plans to cause chaos in this country, to create conditions for the overthrow of the Nkrumah government, actually played with the idea of bombing the Akosombo Dam. It is possible that one day the Akosombo Dam may not be there, and so on. But the idea of collective self-reliance for African states, the idea of stopping dependence on imports from the colonial metropolis and so on, is an enduring legacy, lives forever. The idea of building boarding schools with bunk beds, the person who slept on top of you had no chance of determining who slept on top of you, so you could be there, sleeping on the lower bed, and on the upper bed, there could be a dagati. The next bed could have a frafra and an eve, and so on. And all of this led to a certain bonding, the building of a spirit of nationhood, which is today being destroyed by foolish politicians. And there are so many of them. And they are everywhere. They are in all the political parties. The NDC primaries. Did you hear the garbage which was spilled? Oh, MPP stronghold is Ashanti region. So you need a candidate from Ashanti, in order to neutralize the MPP. Rubbish. And then they came to the selection of running mates. Same rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Non-entities. People who cannot be elected, assistant school prefects, were vying for the position of running mate to John Mahama with stupid reasons. Sometimes it's reduced to age. Sometimes it's reduced to the region they come from. Sometimes it's reduced to their looks. And some of the people who are making arguments about looks, I look at their faces and look at their body and look at their legs. I said, what is going wrong? That such people have the effrontery to be talking about looks? Look at them. They themselves, look at them. Unbelievable. But then there's the level we have come to. The level we have come to. I was going to say something, but, I'm a little careful sometimes, That's why the people who said those things, they are my very, very close friends. Not that I'm afraid to criticize my friends and so on. But sometimes when you're saying things, you don't want fingers to be pointed directly to some people. Some people who are assumed to be gurus in politics and so on, they talk a lot of trash. I mean, to the extent that I heard somebody actually saying that, oh, you see, the National Democratic Congress, if you go to the Ashanti region, its leaders in the Ashanti region, like constituency executives, polling station executives, and so on, most of them are not Ashantis. And that is why it is not winning in Ashanti. So they should be replaced with indigenous Ashantis related to the chiefs. Bah! I want to kill the party in the region. Why? My brother, I've lived a little long. And I saw Lieutenant Colonel Dawuni as the Central Regional Minister. And to this day, the people of the Central Region talk about Lieutenant Colonel Dawuni in glorious terms because of what he did in the region. Today, you go to the Eastern Region. The name of Colonel Menyila would ever remain in the annals of the Eastern Region because of the work he did. He doesn't come from there. Akwe Norte, you remember Akwe Norte? Was it Northern Region, commissioner and so on? And there are many others. In fact, during the so-called First Republic, and I don't accept that there's a First Republic and a Second Republic and a Third Republic, Ghana gained its republican status only once, on 1st July 1960. It is the same republican status that we maintain after today. So there's nothing like Fourth Republic